Chapter 618, Later Happiness. Chapter 618, Later Happiness. Sigma. After Shenlin and Dongjin took their men and left, there were no more than 1,000 people, including the Yangs and the Shus. Not more than 500 warriors who to stay with the Yang family. Old people took a big part of this group. However, they didn't have a profound realm or an excellent competence. Yang Tian Emperor stood idle. He exhaled, then his lips convulsed. Later on, he said indifferently, "Good then. It's good anyway." Apparently, he seemed distressed. The sadness of Shenlin and Dongjin's departure couldn't be dispersed just yet. Those people had vowed to devote their lives to the Yang family the year they had joined this force. However, when they left, they were so determined. They didn't hesitate at all. Their situation was similar to Shenlin's. They used to have no place to return to in the entire endless sea. Some were expelled by their own families, while the others had a strong enemy they couldn't counter. To avoid death, they had joined the Yang family. That year, Yang Tian Emperor had been frank and generous enough to bear their debts. He had helped them solve their problems. He even took revenge for them, which gave them face. Their departure made Yang Tian Emperor recognize people's hearts. Now he knew that even if he could provide them more, it would never be a sufficient weight to hold them. Ru. The demonic beast roaring reverberated like a beating drum hitting people's hearts. They all felt tenser. "Anybody else wants to leave?" Shi Yang got up as if he didn't see the beasts coming closer. He said faintly, "If you leave now, you still have a chance to live. If you linger, perhaps you have to stay here forever." "Kid, don't be wordy." Ling Ming bit his lips. His aura was fierce like a beast escaping its cage. "If we decide to stay, we don't hold on the thought of being lucky again. Stop talking nonsense." 1/3 of the crowd surrounding the lake had their eyes bloodshot. They were ready to have a bloody battle with the beasts. Shi Yang cracked a smile as he nodded in his heart. It wasn't that they didn't have a consciousness and didn't know how to repay favors. Ling Ming and the 500 who stayed had decided to be with them at the deadliest time, the time they knew they would die, but they didn't hesitate to come forward. Shi Yang was touched. His attitude towards them became tender, much better than when he talked to Shenlin and Dongjin. "Don't worry, Uncle Ling. Everybody's going to be safe. If we survive the great catastrophe, we will have happiness later. Wait until we defeat the demonic beasts, I think we all harvest something." Ling Ming was surprised. He looked at the young man suspiciously, his face odd. "Do you think we will survive?" "Of course, we will. Perhaps 1/4 of our 1,000 people here can survive. It's good enough." Ling Ming was solemn and stirring, smiling quietly. "Anyway, I'm sure I will not be one of them. I'm old, and my realm can't be developed further. I have no bright future even if I continue to live. I should save the chance to survive for the young generation." "Master Ling, Uncle Ling." Many young warriors couldn't help but have tears linger in their eyes. They were stirred up, shouting and thundering. They crossed their hearts to stay and collaborate toward the common goal. No. Shi Yang shook his head continually, talking more seriously to the others. "Not 1/4. Believe me, everybody will survive. Moreover, you will have a better life." Everybody was bewildered, looking at him disbelievingly, as they thought that he was so scared of the beasts that he had gone crazy. Even Yang Tian Emperor couldn't resist the beasts and got hurt. The level 8 beasts would absolutely be the formidable ones. Spirit realm warriors couldn't deal with beasts at this level. Moreover, the coming herd didn't have only 2 beasts, but almost 100 of them. "Young Master Yang, you shouldn't stay here. Your future would be much brighter, you know," said Ashura King, Mo Dunhuan emotionlessly. "You should live and clean all the ones who have betrayed us today. In the future, just worship us with their heads." Ling Ming nodded continually. Obviously, he agreed with Mo Dunhuan. Shi Yang was stunned for a while, then he laughed. "Don't worry, Uncle Mo. I won't shoot the arrows aimlessly. Level 8 demonic beasts aren't that dangerous. All right, let's scatter. You guys go there and wait." Finally, Yang Tian Emperor spoke up. He pointed at the stone buildings behind the lake and assigned the other low realm warriors. Old Mo, Little Ling, you guys follow me, he nodded to Mo Dun Huan and Ling Ming. Mo Dun Huan and Ling Ming were suspicious. They exchanged looks, then followed Yang Tian Emperor in silence. Yang Zhuo, Shi Jian, and Shi Tai were ready. When they wanted to step forward and support Shi Yang, he stopped them and smiled. Grandpa, don't go there. You guys stay here and protect them. It's not as serious as you thought. Shi Jian's face was gloomy as he advised Shi Tai, you guys go back. He rolled his eyes at Shi Yang persistently and grunted, do you think your grandpa is an obstacle now? Do you think my cultivation base is too low and that I can't help you with anything? Shi Yang had a headache. He shook his head immediately. No, Grandpa. If you want, just come here. Yang Tian Emperor, Mo Dun Huan, Ling Ming, Shi Yang, Shi Jian took 100 Nirvana Realm warriors, lining in front of the forest. Shi Yang squinted, releasing the War Devil and taking out his Sky Destroyer Divine Sword. He started to urge and accumulate the power in his body. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Amidst the noisy, annoying sounds of the beasts moving through the forest, ancient trees were broken easily as breaking a dried branch. Dust rose everywhere, and smoke shot aloft. The unique, bloodthirsty and brutal aura of the demonic beasts permeated the place from the thick smoke. Mo Dun Huan, Ling Ming, and Shi Jian became tense. They immediately took out the secret treasures to join this bloody battle. Their weapons were a hook, a spear, and a broadsword. At first glance, Shi Yang knew they were just rank 3 spirit-grade treasures. They didn't have a formation or a strange rippling energy. Uncle Mo, Uncle Ling, Grandpa, later on, you guys should give me your secret treasures that you are using. I'm going to help you refine them. Before the beasts arrived, he still had the mood to laugh with them. This kid didn't care about his life indeed. Mo Dun Huan, Ling Ming, and Shi Jian were stupefied as they couldn't make head or tail. Yang Tian Emperor was moved. His eyes brightened. He asked gingerly, you know how to refine treasures? Shi Yang nodded. Yang Tian Emperor smiled dazzlingly. He nodded to Shi Yang. At this moment, roughly 100 demonic beasts at various levels appeared in their visions. The leader of this group was a fierce flame gold lion, around 100 meters tall. The red fur on its body was almost 1 meter long, which made it look like a bunch of flames. Gold rays of light radiated from the lion as it was releasing an intensive heat. Standing next to the fierce flame gold lion was a python with 4 curled horns. Round black and white patterns appeared distinctively on its body, which was like a mountain of flesh. This was the level 8 beast called Silver-Horned Great Python. The fierce flame gold lion and the Silver-Horned Great Python were the level 8 beasts. They could transform. Although these two hadn't changed yet, the light of wisdom in their eyes was obvious. Before the change of heaven and earth energy, level 8 beasts with intellect weren't ordinary. After the great change, their intelligence was no different from that of human beings. They had become high-grade creatures. Not only they could reason, they also knew how to use the powers in their bodies. After the 2 level 8 beasts arrived, they stopped and observed the situation. They didn't hurry. Shi Yang cracked a smile. He let the War Devil release the furious, murderous aura while he was accumulating his energy. Shi Yang secretly let the death domain expand. The quiet but desperate aura had scared all the beasts on the opposite side. Yang Tian Emperor arched his brows. His blood and aura both were boiling up, giving people an extreme feeling of danger. The 2 level 8 beasts didn't say anything. They sensed for a while, as if they were considering whether to have a bloody battle or not. My master said that this area is under his authority. You have 1 month to leave here. Otherwise, my master will kill you all. The fierce flame gold lion contemplated for a while and then thundered. Its giant mouth, as big as a pond of blood, spitting out fiery flames. Heating waves shot out torrentially. Level 8 beasts could understand human languages. They had enough faculty to communicate with high-grade beings. Yang Tian Emperor had dragged the fierce flame gold lion and the silver-horned great python here. They had thought that they could kill Yang Tian Emperor. However, now they had 2 unknown factors. Shi Yang and the War Devil. The 2 members of the monster clan changed their minds, but they didn't want to lose their power and prestige, so they had to scare the others using words. Master. Shi Yang smiled. Who is your master? Master Flame Dragon, Fierce Flame Gold Lion and the Silver-Horned Great Python proudly answered in unison. A level 9 Flame Flood Dragon, Ling Ming reminded him. Shi Yang was enlightened. He nodded and talked to the Fierce Flame Gold Lion and the Silver-Horned Great Python. All right, we got it. We will discuss a little bit. Perhaps we will visit your master and tell him something he'll be interested in. My master doesn't like humans. He won't meet you. You'd better leave early. Fierce Flame Gold Lion knew that they couldn't get what they wanted today, so it could only leave with the Silver-Horned Great Python with rage. A herd of 100 beasts at various levels followed those two and left quickly. That fiery Flame Flood Dragon has just reached level 9 recently. He's a dangerous factor in this perpetual night forest. Ling Ming sighed, knitting his brows. But the fiery Flame Dragon isn't the most dangerous one. There are more tremendous beasts in the perpetual night forest. Moreover, they have their own territories. Our shelter's in the territory of the fiery Flame Dragon. I heard that there's a beast which is about to reach level 10 in the secret domain. Even the 7 ancient factions couldn't do any harm to it. Shi Yang slightly changed his countenance. It seems the situation of this perpetual night forest's really complicated. Of course, it is. Ling Ming beamed a forced smile. Otherwise, we wouldn't see many heartless and cruel people. Yang Tian Emperor nodded, swinging his hand. No need to talk about it. Before we get the ability, it will only hurt us. Ling Ming and Mo Dun Huan became stern, as they understood the situation well. Great-grandpa, please give me all the cultivating materials of the Yang family. I want to refine weapons on a massive scale. I want to improve everybody's competence. I want to enhance your secret treasures and weapons within half a month. I want to strengthen those who decided to stay with us. Shi Yang took a deep breath and then thundered. Chapter 619, Frantically Great Refining. Chapter 619, Frantically Great Refining. Flows of scarlet flames condensed into an exquisite arm, moving back and forth in a wide jade ditch. Scorching lava splashed, while sharp and distinctive crystal stones were moving as if they were living beings. The wide ditch connected every direction, branching into hundreds of narrow canals. Visible energy waves rippled from those canals in a strange liquid form. Relatively low-grade secret treasures were dragged into the wide ditch by an invisible force one by one. Next, the fiery flame in the blazing lava started to refine them. Many black contaminants were extracted, sinking to the bottom. The wide ditch extended in every direction. From a bird's-eye view, it was a mysterious, complicated ancient formation. It was around 10 square li. Its branches looked like the fiery swimming snakes. Flames rose torrentially, scorching and brutal, as though they were alien flaming beasts that could swallow everything. Secret treasures with different shapes were moving heavily in this strange but magical ancient formation. As they were heated up, a strange energy existing in this mysterious formation was absorbed into them. A vivid red-hued young man sat cross-legged in the void above the ditch. His eyes were slightly closed as his hands were making many moves of the secret techniques. A symbol shot out from his palms. It exposed an ancient formation in the void, which was outlined by delicate rays of light. At first, the formation was tiny, just as big as a thumb. However, it was drawn with thousands of flimsy energy lines, which was extremely complicated. Then, the formation slowly descended and enlarged to the size of a palm, then a bowl, a door. The formation, which was drawn with several thousand energy fibers, became clearer with time. Its patterns looked like the patterns on someone's palm, naturally mysterious. In some aspects, it looked like the Great Earth, solemn and respectful. In another aspect, it was like a little bird swiftly flying away, leaving no trace. Different formations had unclear trajectories, but they all contained the mysterious truths of heaven and earth. They fluttered like light curtains as they descended from the sky into the wide ditch and imprinted on the purified treasures. Receiving a formation each, those secret treasures started to change miraculously. Energy fluctuations rippled, while their mother material was changing its natural characteristics. Some became smooth and beautifully jade-like. Some were so rigid that nothing could break it. But at the same time, these treasures could be as soft and flexible as cotton. Users could stretch them as much as they pleased. It seemed the treasures would never fracture. Different treasures had different formations, which gave them different marvelous abilities. After they were purified and carved with a magical formation, receiving new abilities, the treasures would fly up. Each treasure now had a beautiful halo. Energy waves rippled from them tremendously. They also had a new appearance, mysterious and beautiful, such that people couldn't shift their eyes from them. Several hundred warriors stood around the wide ditch. Everyone balled their hands into fists. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly, as flames of desire burned in their eyes. When a sword secret treasure made a beautiful curve in the air with a moonlight halo around before falling into a man's hand, that man couldn't control his thrill. He was shaking while talking to Shi Yang. Thank you, young Master Yang." The young man floating in the sky slightly opened his eyes and beamed a faint smile. "The material of your sword is not good enough. After I extracted the contaminants and inscribed the burning water extinguishing formation, it could only reach rank 3 of spirit grade. Too bad." No, not bad at all." The warrior got startled. He clutched his sword tightly as though he had just collected a precious treasure. Suddenly, he had a magical feeling of having a blood connection with his weapon. The power hidden in his sword released a scorching flame, which could combine perfectly with the technique he was cultivating. "Young Master Yang, this sword was just a rank 1 mysterious grade sword. You have leveled it up by 1 more grade." "Master Yang, I'm just at the 3rd sky of human realm, but with this sword, I now dare deal with a disaster realm warrior." That young man was so excited he started to babble. As he was trying to restrain himself, his body shook vehemently. After the young warrior said that, many warriors around started to be jealous of him. They were like bloodthirsty beasts gazing at the ditch. Their life treasures flew to the ditch like a cloud of grasshoppers, falling into the burning lava canals. In the beginning, when Shi Yang was arranging this formidable formation, they thought that it couldn't work that much. It wasn't easy to upgrade a common treasure. Even if he were the great blacksmith of the divine great land, he had to prepare the required materials sufficiently. He had spent 10 days to carve a strange ditch formation, then poured several hundred kinds of materials in it. After he'd released the heaven flame, he asked people to throw their treasures into the wide ditch. Many people didn't believe him, as they were afraid that he would break their treasures. When Yang Tian Emperor couldn't help but give them order, some people started to gingerly throw their treasures into the ditch. The warrior who had just caught the flying sword was the first one who received big benefits. A rank 1 of mysterious grade treasure had upgraded to rank 3 of spirit grade. 1 whole grade skipped up. There was no doubt, no more questions. Those people now looked like a pack of hungry wolves, throwing their weapons and treasures into the wide ditch in front of them. "Stop!" Shi Yang let out a light shout. He spoke to them seriously. "The stream of energy in this ancient formation has a limit. It can't refine too many things at the same time. Otherwise, I'm not sure it can eliminate the contaminants in your treasures. No need to rush. I'm going to help you refine your treasures, one by one." "Young Master Yang, I haven't thrown mine yet." Ling Ming faced up with a red face. Only 1 treasure. "Only 1 treasure of mine, is it okay?" "Uncle Ling, don't be like that. You shouldn't disturb." "Old Ling, I've thrown my treasure, you shouldn't mess things up." Mo Dunhuan and a young man saw Ling Ming was about to break the rule and became frightened, walking over to pull the old man back with an anxious complexion. "Get off me. Moji, get off me." Ling Ming had his veins bulging on his neck. F***CK. Who knows if the materials there are enough for all? "No, you have to accept my treasure. If you don't let me go, I'll hit you." Ling Ming knew the materials in the ditch were all precious, and he wasn't sure that Yang Tian Emperor could have more to supply. If not, his spirit-grade treasure could only wait for the next chance. But he didn't know when the next chance would be. "If you put your treasures in, our grade can be dragged down. We will risk our lives with you." Mu Dunhuan was always a calm person. But now, he was exposing his ugly face, shouting indignantly. "I don't care. My treasure has to be refined. Ling Ming rolled his sleeves, his face reddening as he was about to fight with the other. What do you think you're doing? However, Yang Tian Emperor interrupted them at this moment. Little Ling, you were scared and didn't want to put your treasure in there. Now, you shouldn't blame the others. Yeah, you have to wait for the next round. Yang Tian Emperor made Ling Ming goggle, his face grief-stricken. Ling Ming sighed continually. He was blaming himself for not having sharp eyes, that he couldn't see Shi Yang's earth-shaking ability. Shi Yang didn't talk. Hearing Yang Tian Emperor intervening, Shi Yang continued to close his eyes and perform more refining techniques. His soul consciousness and the pure energy in his body were condensed and constantly changing according to his thought. They formed the ancient formation to refine treasures or the exquisite, magical seals imprinting on the treasures in the ditch. During the whole process, his mind and spirit were crystal clear. He had no negative feelings, and his soul seemed to sublimate. He suddenly understood that when his acupuncture points converted the negative energy, even though this process was marvelous, his soul couldn't control it. Every time he used rampage, he would fall into the old trace of getting bedevilment, which would leave some bad repercussions. During this refining process, his mind and spirit were translucent, as though his soul was washed with an invisible holy water. The mist curtains that hindered his mind were gradually cleaned, leaving his soul calm and steady. While he was concentrating on refining, he was also purifying his soul. This could prevent him from getting lost. His soul could gain benefits from this too. Refining techniques and carving formations contained some true meanings of heaven and earth. His understanding of these meanings became more profound, giving him different perception of different energies. After Shi Yang found that refining treasures could help him that much, he started to consider it carefully. Now, he had no contradictions anymore, considering it as experience of a warrior, which gave him more benefits. Many warriors of the Yang family and the Shi family observed him floating in the air, making many hand seals. His anxious, stirring moods were all calmed down. Looking at the miraculous expanding formations he was making, which vaguely depicted heaven and earth's operation rules, some warriors seemed to understand something. They sat down cross-legged, their mind illuminated with the light of knowledge. The formation was one kind of heaven and earth's energy form. If they could understand the mysteries of these formations, it would be very useful to them. They could even enter the new realm instantly. Shi Yang had the spirit realm cultivation base. The author of the Blacksmith Secrets of Success was a divine-grade blacksmith. The Upanishads hidden in the formations he wrote were abstrusely complicated. Even if the warriors could only understand a bit, they could reach the wall of their cultivation. Most of the onlookers didn't have a profound realm. Seeing the changing formations, they somehow found it easy to understand a deeper meaning. Gradually, more and more people started to gather their spirit and sat down around the wide ditch. Right after that, Ling Ming and Mo Dun Huan seemed to understand something. They closed their eyes as if they were searching for some knowledge. The warriors who had decided to stay with the Yangs and risk their lives in fighting felt lucky at this moment. They were lucky that they made a wise choice. And they felt lucky that they weren't the runaway betrayers. Surviving the great catastrophe, one would receive happiness later. What Shi Yang said 10 days ago arose in their heads. At this moment, they knew it was true. People now looked at Shi Yang with more respect, no longer surprised or doubtful. They considered this young man their leader, just like Yang Tian Emperor. Their trust in him started to grow in their hearts. At the most difficult time of the human clan in the divine Great Land, this small group of people could find peace in their souls in this desolate forest. They seemed to find nirvana, a resting place for their souls. They gathered and became stronger. Chapter 620, New Situation. Chapter 620, New Situation. In a corner of the perpetual night forest, a group of warriors was building a stone house. It looked plain, without any formations or barrier to strengthen it. This house was used only for shelter. Half a month ago, they were struggling in despair as they wanted to leave this place and go to the secret domain of the 7 ancient factions. They thought that they would die shortly. Half a month later, their faces were bright and smiling, when they could have a new life eventually. Everybody was excited and enthusiastic, as if they wouldn't ever be tired. Have you heard about Lehigh's treasure, which upgraded to rank 1 of spirit grade from the original rank 4 of mortal grade? A teenager at Human Realm talked with his young, eager face, while he was pouring energy into the stone. He wanted to vent out his excitement. Haha, I will be in the next group. I'm so excited. Haha, those stray dogs who left will never know what they have miss. Another young man with a scattering beard laughed evilly. The same conversations arose in every corner. Around a lake with many stone houses surrounding it, a young man sat neatly with a severe countenance. He was making numerous hand seals, falling like constellations into the formation in front of him. Yang Tian Emperor, Shi Jian, Mo Dun Huan, and Ling Ming were waiting, their eyes longing. There it is. Radiant halo bloomed from the formation. The young man was still making more hand seals. He exhaled heavily, but his eyes were bright. Done. Shi Jian couldn't help but step forward. He scooped and observed the formation, but he couldn't see it through. Is it enough to teleport? Little Yang, when did you learn how to create the teleportation formation? Can't explain briefly, Shi Yang smiled brightly, then he contemplated, his face hesitant. Do you really want to bring Cao Qiu Dao's group here? If they come here, we will have more unpredictable factors. Have you guys decided yet? Just let them come here, Yang Tian Emperor nodded. We don't have enough materials to refine treasures anymore. We still have many warriors waiting for you to refine their treasures. We need to take care of it. Although Cao Qiu Dao's cunning, he has abilities. When he comes, we will be strengthened. Mo Dun Huan and Ling Ming also agreed with him. All right then, Shi Yang smiled and didn't say anything else. He closed his eyes to concentrate, urging his soul consciousness. He calibrated the space nodes inside the formation in front of him. Magical light dots that were as bright as stars emerged, as if they had come from a strange space, floating in the center of the teleportation formation. Shi Yang's eyes squinted. All of a sudden, a soul flow that was as strong as a gushing flood lunged directly to the nodes. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Delicate light fibers weaved a fine net above the sacrificial altar. It had a thick mesh, but it looked very orderly. Electric currents shot out like rainbows, while energy waves rippled visibly. The sealed teleportation formation inside a mountain of the northern Gem Mountain glowed abruptly. Cao Qiu Dao's group of warriors had been waiting for so long. Gradually, they became desperate. But at this moment, they all jolted up with a stirring heart and an excited mind. A shadow slowly appeared. It was Shi Yang in the perpetual night forest. His phantom became clear. People then saw him waving, signaling them to come over. Cao Qiu Dao was overjoyed, shouting to his men. Come over here. We'll leave immediately. Shortly, human warriors of the Endless Sea all gathered inside the teleportation formation. A white halo flashed, and everybody disappeared. Cao Ji, Yang Tian Emperor smiled, greeting, welcome. Cao Qiu Dao couldn't help but smile. He nodded to Yang Tian Emperor, then shifted his look to Shi Yang. He talked to him with respect. Thank you. Shi Yang was embarrassed, shaking his head. Don't rush to say thanks. The situation isn't like what you've thought. Yeah. Cao Qiu Dao was surprised. Let me explain, Yang Tian Emperor frowned. He briefed the situation and then extended one arm, speaking begrudgingly. You guys can choose to leave. I know the general direction of the 7 ancient factions' secret domain. If you want to go there, I will not compel you. Ah. For the payment, I'll take a part of cultivating materials you have. Shi Yang beamed a wry smile, pointing at the teleportation formation next to them. It cost me a lot to build that formation. You guys should make it up for me. Cao Qiu Dao kept silent for a while then spoke up. Yang Ji, will you give us time to consider? I need to discuss with them. Yang Tian Emperor nodded. What do you think? After Cao Qiu Dao and the others reached another area, he went straight to the matter. From the current situation, the secret domain of the 7 ancient factions is the safest place. However, Shi Yang can always surprise people. When he was in the Endless Sea, he had discovered a whole new world. We aren't familiar with the 7 ancient factions. When we get there, I'm not sure what would happen. It's all because of you that we can survive until this moment. We will follow you. Fan Xionghyun was frank enough to throw back the ball to him. Cao Qiudao and Fan Xionghyun's group consisted of around 500 warriors. They were all the core members of the Cao family, the Yin-Yang Fairyland, and the desolate barbarian sect. Different from the Yang family, they didn't have many external disciples. Their men were all loyal and trustworthy. Well, the ones with different thought were soon trashed away. Little Lan, what do you think? Cao Qiudao frowned. At this moment, he couldn't make the decision shortly. The only thing I regret the most in my life is that I didn't trust him that year. I couldn't see his potential. A strange light sparkled in Cao Zhilan's face, her eyes determined. This time, I won't make the same mistake. When he had overturned the situation of the Endless Sea, he only had the Sky Realm cultivation base. At that time, peerless warriors in the Endless Sea were at Spirit Realm. Today, he's reached the Spirit Realm, and the experts in the Divine Great Land have the True God Realm cultivation base. How similar is it? I believe he can overturn the whole sky the second time. Cao Qiudao and Fan Xionghyun were moved. It's true. Little Lan's correct. Your vision is wide, too. Fan Xionghyun sighed in relief, then shot up from her spot. Although the background has changed, the situation's strangely similar. Moreover, at that time, he was alone. Then, we should stay here. I hope he can create miracles once again, said Cao Qiudao determinedly. Soon, they would know how wise their decision was. Seeing Shi Yang refining treasures and his magical technique to upgrade the treasures, and after he said that he could help them refine their treasures too, Cao Qiudao and his group of 500 were filled with enthusiasm. Increasing the quality of the secret treasures could enhance the warrior's competence. In this perpetual night forest, where dangers appeared in every corner, having additional power meant having more chances to survive. Anyway, Shi Yang's refining process didn't include only 1 or 2 weapons. He was carrying out a massive-scale refining procedure, including everyone else. This sounded intimidating to them. Added with Cao Qiudao's group, they now had around 1,500 warriors. After their treasures and weapons were upgraded, their general power would leap up one more level. Great-grandpa, if I bring the Dark Devil clan and the Winged clan here, can you arrange for them properly? Shi Yang talked with a serious complexion while glaring at Cao Qiudao. Don't worry. People who stay will all follow your decision. They won't oppose us, smiled Yang Tian Emperor. I have no problem with it, said Cao Qiudao. Shi Yang nodded, smiling brightly. The future picture will be beyond your imagination. We need to improve the previous operation. Anyway, I don't care about races. I don't bother with the Monster Clan or the Dark Clan. As long as they walk the same way with me, I will protect them. If they can bring benefits to me, I will establish a good relationship with them. From now on, this is my working principle. I don't classify races, I just consider the attitudes and manners. If the alien tribes have a good relationship with me, I'll treat them well. If they aim at me, I'll kill them all. Cao Qiudao shuddered in his heart as he felt lucky somehow. Cao Zhilan's eyes brightened with a strange light. She was touched. She suddenly felt that Shi Yang's demeanor was more charming than before. Now, he had brave but callous makings that attracted her more. All right. Yang Tian Emperor nodded. I believe in your decision. As long as we can earn benefit and survive, we will do anything. Shi Yang grinned. All of a sudden, he felt this hard situation wasn't unbreakable. 3 days later, the clansmen of the Dark Devil clan and the Winged clan moved to this shelter. Since they had talked it through, the ones who decided to stay here understood. They didn't say anything against this move. After the Dark Devil clan and the Winged clan arrived, the number of people here had increased to 4,500, including 2,000 clansmen of the Dark Devil clan, 1,000 clansmen of the Winged clan, 1,000 members of the Yang family and the Shi family, and 500 people of Cao Qiudao and Fan Xionghyun's group. The alien tribes took account of half the number of the population here, which made the number of the human clan smaller. However, this force was far behind the ancient 7 factions, whether it was the number or the qualification of the warriors. Still, no one had thought that this small force could quickly unite and improve their general competence under Shi Yang's influence in such strenuous situation. Swoosh! A snow-white feather attached with a piece of animal skin shot to an ancient tree where the winged clan stayed. A member of the winged clan picked up the leather piece, took a look, then hurried to find Yu Ruo, handing it to her. 15 minutes later, Shi Yang, Yang Tian Emperor, Cao Qiu Dao, Yang Zhuo, Shi Jian, Di Shan, and Yi Tianmo gathered in a stone meeting room by the lake, their faces grim. It's the order of the monster clan. I think Fiery Dragon wrote it. He said that if we don't move, he will kill us all 3 days later. Di Shan frowned, looking at the vulgar writing, his face cold. Although Fiery Dragon has reached level 9, and is as strong as a true God Realm warrior, he hasn't entered the realm for a long time. I think we can endure a battle with him. Cao Qiu Dao nodded. With our competence, when we join hands to deal with Fiery Dragon, even if we get hurt, we won't lose. No, Shi Yang shook his head, we are not going to fight with them. Among the alien tribes, the monster clan seems easy to contact. We can deal with them. Deal with them? Everybody was stunned. Yeah, Shi Yang's face darkened as he moved his line of sight to the further area. I think, compared to the monster clan, some people are more wicked. We should maintain our power to deal with the tougher enemies. He was looking in the direction where the 7 ancient factions gathered. Chapter 621, Befriend Monsters. Chapter 621, Befriend Monsters. The Fiery Dragon lived in a natural limestone cave in the perpetual night forest. This cave had fiery walls, which were red like blood. The ambience was hot year-round, and the ventilation was horrible. As the fiery flood dragon who had just leveled up, Fiery Dragon had his intelligence awakened, which made him an official member of the monster clan. However, it was hard to change someone's characteristics in a short time. The limestone he lived was still stinky and dirty, with a pungent smell that always nauseated people. Of course, Fiery Dragon wouldn't bother with these minor details. Quite the contrary, he felt much comfortable in such conditions, and he could relax well. To the human clan, his place was disgusting. In the past, humans who were captured and imprisoned in this limestone cave all died after several days because of the revolting smell. This Fiery Dragon also had a special smell that humans couldn't endure. Except for the other beasts, the other high-grade creatures couldn't stand his nauseating odor. Inside the spacious natural cave, the fiery flood dragon that was around 300 meters tall was balling its giant body, squinting lazily near the vivid red lava rock. The fiery flame gold lion and the silver-horned giant python were waiting silently near him. This limestone cave was spacious, extending in all directions. Although the scarlet lava rock stood in the middle, it didn't hinder their visions. Not far from them were hundreds of different size beasts all lined up. They were like the guards, standing on 2 sides of the place as if they were waiting for something. Master Fiery Dragon, the human called Shi Yang asked to meet you. A level 7 beast called over from the entrance of the cave with unnatural howls. His voice echoed through the large cave. Bring him in. The fist-sized garnet eyes of the dragon brightened. He spoke with a calm, relaxed voice. His words were clear enough. Shortly, a figure entered the cave through the entrance. After taking 7 turns, he got to the spacious cave where the 3 great beasts stayed. Lying in the center of the cave, on the vivid red lava wall, the giant body of the fiery dragon was like a giant block of rotten meat. Pungent smell exuded from him, permeating the whole place. This cave wasn't a well-ventilated room. Usually, beasts would have an unusual smell. In this cave, besides Fiery Dragon, there were the fiery flame gold lion, the silver-horned giant python, and some rotten organic bodies somewhere. This combined nauseating odor could even shake people's souls. The blood-red eyes of the fiery dragon opened, gazing at the man maliciously. The man was walking deliberately as if he didn't smell the nauseating scent in this place. He looked pretty relaxed. Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame Gold Lion, and the silver-horned giant python were surprised at first. Afterward, their hostile look faded. Unknowingly, their feeling towards the man who had just visited them was getting better. Naturally, humans hated the smell of beasts. They always considered the inhabited area of the beasts the most disgusting place. Fiery dragon, fiery flame gold lion, and the silver-horned giant python had communicated with many people. They had also captured a lot and imprisoned them here. No one was an exception. Every human being entering this limestone, no matter he was an ordinary people or a warrior, couldn't stop vomiting. Some with a cunning heart would try to restrain their upset stomach, but they couldn't hide the hatred in their eyes. To high-level demonic beasts like fiery dragon, they hated the humans' discrimination the most, as they always thought that humans didn't respect them. Thus, these sort of humans would become their meals. Today, after observing the young man for a while, fiery dragon, fiery flame gold lion, and the silver-horned giant python didn't find even a slight bit of loathing or despise on his face. Well, at least, they couldn't see it. This pleased the three high-level beasts. Their intense anger was calmed down. "Why did you come here?" Fiery dragon snorted, his voice rumbling like thunder. "I've given you time. Don't try my patience. But, because you've come here yourself, I'll give you another chance. Leave quickly, and I won't take this as a grudge anymore." Shi Yang's countenance was faint. He didn't show that he was scared or disdainful. He didn't answer the fiery dragon but asked, "I heard that Master Fiery Dragon has an enemy, the level 9 blood-maned giant ape. I heard that he has reached level 9 earlier than you. Rank 2 of level 9, right?" These days, he had studied the ranking of the beasts. The monster clan also had a classification of the level. Each level had some smaller ranks, just like the different skies of a realm of human warriors' cultivation base. As the fiery dragon had just entered level 9, he should be at rank 1. The blood-maned giant ape had reached level 9 for a longer time, so he should be relatively stronger than the fiery dragon. The red eyes of fiery dragon were suddenly flooded with blood, as if it could drip from the dragon's sockets at any minute. He thundered furiously. "What does it matter to you? I can help Master Fiery Dragon increase your power." "Yeah, including them." Shi Yang waved his hand, pointing at the fiery flame gold lion and the silver-horned giant python. "You monster clan don't know how to refine treasures, but I do. If you have a good weapon, when you compete for the territory with the blood-maned giant ape, you can be more certain about your triumph." "Refining treasures?" Fiery dragon was dazed. Then, he shouted indignantly, "Our bodies are the best weapons. We don't need to use external things. Kid, you've wasted a good plan this time." "I mean, refining your body," Shi Yang laughed. "Master Fiery Dragon, if the horns on your head are refined, the power they release will be much more tremendous and purer. Yeah, I'm well aware how dangerous your limbs are, but my point here is your bodies." Fiery Dragon and the other two beasts were stunned. "Will you let me demonstrate?" Shi Yang smiled again. Fiery Dragon and the two beasts nodded instinctively as they wanted to see what trick this human had. "Call it here." Shi Yang had a plan before, pointing at a level 6 sharp claw blue hunter not far from him. The beast arrived. Shi Yang's storage ring flashed. More than 10 materials emerged. He refined them into a strange potion, then poured onto the pair of the monster's sharp claws, and started to refine them. Fiery Dragon and the other two beasts observed him. After a long time, Shi Yang finished. The sharp claw blue hunter now had a pair of snow-white claws seeming like exquisite long swords. Cold light radiated from them, as a sharp and cold halo moved along the claws. The fiery dragon sent his thought to the beast. Next, it stabbed one claw into the rock wall. Just like a pointy knife pierced through tofu, its claw sank into the rock wall instantly, leaving only its arm outside. Fiery dragon, fiery flame gold lion, and silver-horned giant python were suddenly stirred up. The unique heavy breathing of demonic beasts arose in the cave, which showed their excitement. "You are a human, but you dare cooperate with us. Aren't you be afraid of getting killed if someone knows your little secret?" Fiery Dragon pondered for a while and then said with a surprised tone, "The hatred between races in the divine Greatland now is as deep as the Antiquity era. Our monster clan and your human clan are the archenemies. Do you dare to do so?" Shi Yang shrugged, "I did that." Fiery Dragon and the fiery flame gold lion observed him silently. No one knew what they were thinking. Well, if you reject it, it's okay, Shi Yang smiled coldly. I can always visit the blood-maned giant ape. Perhaps he'll be interested in my offer. Master Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame Gold Lion and the silver-horned giant python shouted. Abruptly, Fiery Dragon shot out the fierce light everywhere. A formidable energy wave rippled from him, as if he wanted to crush Shi Yang into pieces. I want to make it clear that if I dare to come here, I'm not afraid of you. Although my powers aren't much strong, you guys can't just swallow us that easy. Shi Yang stood firm. I think you get it. Otherwise, you should have attacked us already, without just threatening like that. You have the blood-maned giant ape as your enemy, and we have our enemies too. We can cooperate to win. If you want to have a bloody fight between us, it won't benefit either side. What do you want? Fiery Dragon stayed quiet for a while and then asked. Not much. We need peace. We don't want to be attacked in your territory. And, if I help you increase your power, you have to pay me big. Shi Yang curled his lips. I know there are so many precious cultivating materials in the perpetual night forest. And you, of course, know which ones are the useful ones. Haha, you can use them only after I've processed them. At this moment, besides me, there should be no other human blacksmith who dares to cooperate with you. Especially, at this critical time. What do you say? Deal. The fiery flame pondered for a while and then thundered with his husky voice. Deal. Shi Yang wore a smiling face, as he was actually joyful. Inside the limestone was a spacious fiery cave, as big as a football court. Strange and rare cultivating materials piled up like mountains. Dark blue water jade, phoenix bonestone, soul-nurturing tricolored grass, thick earth topaz. The rare cultivating materials were laid like trash in many corners, covered with a thick layer of dust. Without a close look, it was hard to identify these were all the treasures that all warriors would drool over. Fiery Dragon took Shi Yang to this place. At first glance, Shi Yang was stunned as if he got hit. Our monster clan has great longevity. Take me as an example, I've been living for more than 1,000 years, Fiery Dragon said. During this endless period, we got to know that human warriors always wanted to collect many things in the perpetual night forest. Although I don't know their functions in details, I know they are precious. Usually, my men and I will collect some. After more than 1,000 years, we have a big collection. Sometimes, we will exchange with human warriors. Anyway, in most cases, we will just kill and eat them. Shi Yang shook his head and beamed a forced smile, but he didn't say anything, walking directly to those piles of dazzlingly colorful materials. All of a sudden, some pieces of strange wood in a corner came into his sight. Those timbers were like they were struck by lightning. Thunder and lightning power seemed apparent on them. The wood grain on these logs was both natural and exquisite. The wood grain looked like a natural formation, which dazzled him. Thunder which wood? A light flashed in his head. Shi Yang's fingers were trembling, as he couldn't restrain the joy in his heart. He laughed contentedly. Chapter 622, Good Friendship. Chapter 622, Good Friendship. The dark blue water jade was one of the best auxiliary materials to refine treasures of water class. It could increase the treasure's solubility and provide abundant power, which was precious. The phoenix bonestone was extremely hard. Except for some special earth flames, human flames in blacksmith's body couldn't even melt it. However, after the phoenix bonestone was melted into a hot fluid, it could increase the sharpness of weapons. Nurturing tricolored grass wasn't a material to refine treasures, but it was a primary ingredient of the original soul pellet. Also, it was a rare, precious herb. Cultivating materials in different colors and distinctive shapes piled up everywhere unsorted. Without attentive searching, people couldn't see how valuable these dust-covered piles were. Especially the thunder witch wood. The thunder witch wood was a dried branch of a 10,000-year ancient tree. Under constant striking of lightning and thunder from the nine skies over thousands of years, it was generated gradually. Under the refining of lightning and thunder, the nature of the wood would be changed. That log of wood would have the thunder and lightning power with an exquisite, natural wood grain. The wood grain gradually formed vegetation essence and the thunder and lightning aura. This was the essential wooden material for some unique items. Thunder witch wood was one of the 3 primary materials to conduct heaven flame refining divine technique. Shi Yang had thought that it would be strenuous to find the thunder witch wood due to its distinctive nature. He had never expected that he could find them in the beast territory. He almost jumped up in joy. The fiery dragon was a creature that could live several thousand years. The perpetual night forest had various precious natural resources and excellent materials scattered everywhere. They attracted many warriors of the martial spirit palace. However, of course, warriors couldn't be familiar with the forest as much as the beasts were. Where the rarest and the most precious treasures of this perpetual night forest were, the high-rank demonic beasts would know clearly. Fiery Dragon had collected his treasures over 1,000 years. He'd also robbed many warriors. It was natural that he could gather such big amount of cultivating materials. Shi Yang's eyes brightened. He kept walking around the cave, and he couldn't hide his compliments. Sometimes, he hissed as if he had gone crazy already. Fiery Dragon stood by the entrance of the cave, releasing an immense red halo. His grand body started to shrink. Magical earth and heaven energy distorted, moving rapidly in his body. Not long after that, the dragon's body had shrunk to human size. He had transformed into a mature, majestic human with a red face and a pair of fiery eyes. The man had one horn, jutting out of his forehead for around half a meter. Flames were twirling around that long horn, covering the miraculous flame patterns on it. Fine beast skin carvings meandered and expanded in his entire body, as though they were his natural costume, which could make people drop their jaws in awe. However, the stinky smell of fiery dragon stayed the same. It always nauseated people, giving fluttering butterflies in their stomach. That was how the monster clan was. Whether it could transform or not, this feature would never change. Anyway, they didn't care about their odor that much, as they always felt comfortable with it. The human form of fiery dragon was a little bit odd. He had a fluttering hair that looked like flames, and his face was really red. He walked to Shi Yang and thundered. "So, are the materials I've accumulated enough to refine my body?" When the dragon turned into human, his characteristics seemed to have a little, miraculous change. He pointed at the soul horn on his head and asked anxiously. "This horn of mine is my crest. After you refine me, would it become ugly? Would it affect my whole aesthetic and markings?" Shi Yang was surprised. He contemplated for a while and then shook his head. "No. After my refining, you will become more handsome and extraordinary than you are now. Even when you show your true form, you can show people your imposing, majestic markings." Fiery Dragon turned his head satisfyingly. "You don't make me hate you. As long as you cooperate well with me, I, Fiery Dragon, won't let you suffer a loss." While he was talking, he took out a bronze mirror from nowhere, dedicatedly observing his image in the mirror. He frowned and then said, "Human body isn't so comfortable. It isn't as strong as my true form either. Anyway, this shape looks really handsome. I can't deny that for sure." Shi Yang felt funny. He didn't expect that after Fiery Dragon had turned into human shape, his nature seemed to change a little bit. He became more pleased with himself. "Although you have many kinds of materials here, it still lacks some. I have to go back to prepare. I'll be back soon." Shi Yang frowned. He thought that he needed to comfort his side first to prevent the Yangs from taking any unusual action. "You should be hurried. I don't have much time. You must prepare everything properly and quickly." Fiery Dragon swung his arm, indicating that Shi Yang should go and return here as fast as possible. Shi Yang smiled and nodded. Suddenly, he let out a dry cough, talking gingerly. "Hey! I need you to make a deposit." The Yang family still had many treasures needed to refine. It wasn't that he didn't have enough energy, but it was the lack of materials. "Deposit?" Fiery Dragon thundered angrily. "You want a deposit? You haven't done anything yet." Cough cough. Shi Yang also recognized he was a bit hurried. "Ah, you misunderstood it. I want the deposit to test the quality of the materials beforehand. I will never break our deal midway. My people are all in your territory. Don't worry. Fiery Dragon rolled his eyes and grunted, as if he was considering whether Shi Yang was trustworthy or not. After a long while, Fiery Dragon thought that with his power of a level 9 beast, Shi Yang couldn't trick him. Thus, he nodded to allow Shi Yang to take a part of the deposit and leaving. Shi Yang wasn't greedy. He took different materials with Fiery Dragon's witness. Then, he stooped to press his excited heart, leaving with satisfaction. Seemed like Fiery Dragon didn't know the value of the Thunder Witch wood. When Shi Yang put the logs into his storage ring, Fiery Dragon didn't even raise his eyebrow. The dragon was a little bit surprised, as he thought that his vision was a little bit narrow. The shelter of the Yang family. Yang Tian Emperor, Cao Qiu Dao, and Shi Jian were waiting with many worries. Their faces gradually darkened. Especially Shi Jian, he kept walking back and forth. He was worried, as if he had a flame burning his heart. He couldn't help but scream all the time. Something unexpected has happened. That kid likes to show off. Not good, we can't stay idle. Among them, Shi Jian was the one who loved Shi Yang the most. He was always worried about the young man. Seeing him leave for quite a long time, he couldn't sit still anymore. Shi Jian was constantly shouting, as he regretted he couldn't attack the Fiery Dragon's territory. Yang Tian Emperor wasn't moved. He sat there calmly like a mountain. Cao Qiu Dao squinted. His gossamer aura fluttered here and there, but he didn't say anything. All of a sudden, screaming and screeching rose from outside together, with the noise of busting and hustling people. Yang Tian Emperor disappeared. The fiery flame gold lion and 10 other level 6 or level 7 beasts were escorting Shi Yang, crushing the ancient trees around to get to the Yangs amidst a bloody scent. Shi Yang was riding the fiery flame gold lion. His face was calm, and he was smiling. He seemed to discuss something with the fiery flame gold lion. The arrogant, tyrannical lion behaved well. Its big eyes even showed that it was servile to someone. Don't worry. I will refine you well. I'll do my best. Seeing the Yang family appear in his vision, under their eyes gawking with fear, Shi Yang patted the fiery flame gold lion at his forehead. He promised the gold lion and then jumped off. People of the Yang family, the Shi family, the Cow family, the Devil Dark clan, and the Winged clan flooded out from the corners near the lake. They were all stunned, looking at him, not knowing what was going on. You guys should go back first. In 3 days max, I'll visit you guys there. Shi Yang laughed cheerily, advising the beasts in front of him. Everybody else was dumbstruck. All beasts had intelligence, as they nodded in unison. Then, as he had advised, they retreated orderly. They seemed to escort Shi Yang back home, instead of forcing and monitoring him as they had imagined. Many beautiful young maidens were stunned, before they started to cheer up. They had thought that under the beast's threat and force, they had to move one more time to another shelter. Unexpectedly, after Shi Yang visited the beasts, they now had a new hope. The whole picture had overturned to a good result they had never imagined. However, what surprised them was still behind. The fiery flame gold lion left. Shi Yang rose one arm and announced, "We will start to refine treasures again. Weapons that haven't been improved, you guys should give me all." Cheers reverberated like thunder by the lake. Everybody was stirred up, complimenting him excitedly. Cao Qiu Dao's squinting eyes slightly opened. He looked at the young man with surprise, nodding in approval in his heart. All of a sudden, he thought that their decision was perhaps correct. Maybe, this kid can lead us to claim a new world, he thought as his face was struck discreetly. At the entrance of the perpetual night forest, a silhouette hovered like a night owl in a deep place of the thick forest. More than 10 warriors of the Ghostmark clan at Spirit Realm and Sky Realm were standing underneath the man. They were waiting for something. Soon, a Ghostmark clan's young man flew out of the thick forest. He kneeled down and greeted with a low voice. Grand Sage. Comoros was hovering in the forest. He nodded and then frowned. You've been in the perpetual night forest for half a year. Do you have any useful information? I can't detect the precise direction of the secret domain. Members of the 7 ancient factions don't always stay inside. They often go out and operate in the perpetual night forest, That man was still on his knee as he was reporting the situation with a face that had been through wind and frost. A small, unknown force. Survivors in the perpetual night forest. Why? Why didn't they go to the secret domain? Comoros knitted his brows, as he couldn't understand. Grand Sage, I found something strange. Among them, there's a clan called the Dark Devil Clan. They look very similar to us. Except for the innate tattoo, their aura is astonishingly consistent with us. The man kept silent for a while, contemplated, then reported. Grand Sage Comoros of the Ghostmark clan trembled on listening to his report. He opened his eyes and then shouted, "What? My words are true. If any of them aren't proven, Grand Sage can sentence me to death." The man lifted his head, his face fearful. "Until now, I didn't believe it. But it's true. And, Yang, that brat, is with them. The clan that looks similar to us considers him their master. Get me there. Quick." Comoros shouted sharply, his face dark and ugly. Chapter 623, Demonic Beast Sheds the Mortal Skin. Chapter 623, Demonic Beast Sheds the Mortal Skin. In the center of a scorching fire, deep inside the limestone cave laid a giant dragon covered in thick beast scales. It was screeching and howling fiercely. Flows of blood-like flame covered the scale all over his body. They were blazing, overflowing towards his head, sizzling and getting into his horn. His sole horn sparkled like red melting iron, while scarlet flames were emitting continuously. A neat silhouette was floating above the fire sea. He was waiting in silence, his face stern. He was making some mysterious hand seals, which seemed to have their own lives as they swam lively like fishes in the fire sea. The temperature of the limestone cave was increasing unceasingly. Feeble light sparkled in the fiery flame gold lion's and the silver-horned giant python's eyes as they were watching from other places. They didn't dare to breathe loudly, as if they were afraid that would cause some bad influence. Blood-red flames moved randomly like lightning on fiery dragon. Each flame flower had a streak of a strange light. This strange light was the essence after the refining materials were melted, which had unmeasurably magical effects. Flames guided those strange beams of light, seeping through the slits between the dragon's scales to enter his body, which increased his body's tenaciousness to an unimaginable degree. An immense fiery halo expanded like a natural light cage and shot backward from the dragon's scaled body. In the place submerged in red flames like this cave, the giant dragon's body wasn't significant, but the heat it was emitting was intimidating. The fiery flame gold lion and the silver-horned giant python suddenly had their minds clear. They held their breaths, while radiant light sparkled from their eyes. Their soul fluctuated as their hearts became restless. The fiery dragon was screeching painfully. Thundering explosions echoed in the cave, that even burst off the rigid rock wall of the cave. The man hovering above the fire kept his posture indifferently and didn't move, as though he was a statue sitting neatly in the air. Even the hand seals he was making were ceased. Shortly, he opened his eyes. Freezing electric currents shot out from deep inside his eyes, weaving in the void. These currents were added with imposing soul fluctuations, pouring furiously into the fire sea. So many treasures of heaven and earth that melted and refined in the fire sea now received the life seal. They transformed into beams of light and rumblingly overwhelmed the fiery flame flood dragon's body, without even a drop remaining. The flames shrank gradually. After 10 breathings, the fire sea vanished, leaving only one pure fire flower bouncing and dancing before it disappeared into an ancient blood-red ring on the young man's finger. The heated limestone cave gradually restored its quietness. People could even hear the noise when a needle fell to the ground. The giant body of the fiery dragon had a garnet halo of fiery flame moving on his body in the center of the scorching lava rock bed. This halo was dazzling like a strange meteor. His natural scale armor was covered with a layer of light energy, which actually looked like some liquid lingering on the dragon, as it was still releasing the extreme heat. The single horn on his head dazzled, as if it was an earth-shaking divine weapon that could even shake people's hearts. Just like the sunlight, it was hard to conceal. Fiery Dragon balled his body, breathing slowly as he was sensing the changes of his body and adjusting the rhythm of his energy to be consistent with the energy of heaven and earth. Fiery Dragon seemed to have a flash of recognition, as a light of wisdom sparkled in his giant eyes. Time seemed to stop right at this moment. Afterward, the giant body of the fiery dragon shook continually. Dirty black contaminants seeped through the gaps between his scales. A stinky, pungent smell that could turn people's heart and lungs upside down permeated the whole place. Even the fiery flame gold lion and the silver-horned giant python, which were the beasts themselves, couldn't endure it. They had almost plugged their nostrils and ran away. This was the first time they realized how uncomfortable it was for humans to stay near the beasts. Only the fiery dragon didn't notice anything unconsciously when he eventually woke up. At first, he was astounded. Then, he laughed contentedly, his laughter soaring up to the sky and shaking the entire limestone cave. Clean it up. Fiery Dragon stopped laughing. His garnet eyes raked through the silver-horned giant python and assigned it nonchalantly. This imposing, solemn manner was inborn. Although he didn't intend it, it could storm to the deep place in people's hearts, making their souls recognize his existence. The silver-horned giant python suddenly got it. It stayed dumbstruck for half a moment before screaming with fright. "Master Fiery Dragon! You have shed your mortal skin." When demonic beast completed its shedding process, its aura and blood would be refined thoroughly. At that time, the nauseating odor of the beasts would be washed away. Quite the contrary, they would have a pleasant aroma. That was the monster clan. Only if the beast could shed its mortal skin could it finally become a member of the monster clan. Its body and blood would have a miraculous change. Its demon power could move easily in its body, and the monster could urge its power at any minute. The challenging gap between the demonic beasts and the monsters was this mortal skin-shedding process. Fiery Dragon cracked a big, wild smile. In his laughter, his giant body shrank, forming the shape of human flesh body. He looked as imposing as a mountain, with blood-red skin and a beautiful, radiant horn on his forehead. Taking out a bronze mirror, Fiery Dragon observed his new appearance seriously. He couldn't help but laugh contentedly again. "Mwahahaha. Not bad. Really not bad. Fella, you have good tricks. From now on, you are my friend. My real friend." Fiery Flame Gold Lion and the Silver-Horned were shivering in thrill. A powerful desire sparkled in their eyes, like a raging fire that could burn the young man. The silver-horned giant python was hesitant. It swept the tail which was as big as a tree trunk over the place. A strong wind blew through, washing away the contaminants from the fiery dragon's body instantly. "The materials in your cave are consumed for the most part. Only to refine your body, I almost used them all." Retrieving the earth flame, Shi Yang was still relaxed. Suddenly, he said, "Actually, I can help you refine a good weapon if you have enough materials with fire attributes." "Well, yeah, in just a short time, I can't help Fiery Flame Lion and Silver-Horned Python refine their bodies. We don't have enough materials." Fiery Flame Gold Lion and Silver-Horned Giant Python shifted anxiously. Their eyes gazed at Fiery Dragon while crying. "Master Fiery Dragon, do you have any solution?" Fiery Dragon swung his arm to calm Fiery Flame and Silver-Horned down. "As long as we have enough materials, you will proceed, right?" "In principle, yeah," Shi Yang smiled humbly. "Hey! The blood-maned giant ape is also a level 9 beast. I think he has collected cultivating materials for so many years like you, so it shouldn't be less than your collection, right?" The Fiery Flame Lion and the Silver-Horned Python had their eyes sparkled while they looked frightened. Fiery Dragon was bewildered for a while. He frowned, but didn't say anything. After a long while, he spoke up. I'm not sure." Shi Yang smiled as he knew that Beast had misunderstood his idea. "I don't ask you to attack him. I meant, the blood-maned giant ape is also from your clan, right? He has collected a lot of materials, perhaps?" Fiery Dragon was surprised. He nodded, but then his eyes flared with a brutal light. Are you going to help blood-maned giant ape to refine his body, too?" "What's the matter?" asked Shi Yang. Fiery Dragon got enraged immediately. "That B**** is my archenemy. He always wants to claim my territory. I will never let him improve his power, he said resolutely. His face reddened and distorted in anger. Only he knew how tremendous the benefits his body got from Shi Yang's refining process were. Shedding mortal skin was just a byproduct. The current power of his body was increased at least one level. Even if he had to fight with the blood-maned giant ape, he would have a chance to win. The perpetual night forest is so vast, but does it have only the two strong members of the monster clan, including you and the blood-maned giant ape? Don't you two have other enemies? Shi Yang beamed a smile. At this moment, Fiery Dragon was startled and discolored. As though he was thinking of something perilous, his eyes shrank, and he even retracted his neck. Of course not. There's someone stronger than us. At present, the perpetual night forest isn't a peaceful place. Members of the other clans often operate here. Besides Human Clan, members of the Demon Clan and the Ghostmark Clan are also present. If you can exchange refining materials with the blood-maned giant ape, both of you will receive bigger benefits. It's good for you too. Shi Yang continued to persuade him. The amount and types of cultivating materials in the Fiery Dragon's cave had seriously surprised him. Thinking about the blood-maned giant ape, he could almost confirm that what the other treasured were also rich and full of variety. Perhaps, he had stored many things Shi Yang had desired. At this moment, he didn't care about principle. As long as he could improve his competence, he didn't care if he had to engage in business with the pagans. Not only did he want to have a good relationship with Fiery Dragon, but he also wanted to get to the other hotshots around through Fiery Dragon. As long as they became his business partners, Shi Yang could collect the most valuable cultivating materials. Currently, I don't want to talk with that blood-maned giant ape. We should slow down for a while. Fiery Dragon kept silent for a while. If the cultivating materials are not enough, I know a place we can take some. That place is a little bit dangerous. Perhaps you would like it. Where? Shi Yang's eyes brightened. Indeed, he was interested in such a place. It is also in the perpetual night forest. But it isn't in my territory, Fiery Dragon contemplated for a while. It's in that blood-maned giant ape's territory. However, he has never dared to reach there. As you know blacksmithing and the formation, perhaps you can get in. Is it related to the Human Clan? Shi Yang's spirit was high. Yes. All right, take me there. If we find something, we will gain big benefits. We should avoid that blood-maned giant ape. He's not someone we can provoke. Currently, I don't want to fight with him. I'll listen to you. Shi Yang and Fiery Dragon planned their next steps. However, a sound stone in Shi Yang's storage ring started to send a fierce soul fluctuation before they started to move. Shi Yang discolored in fear. He hurried to take the sound stone and sink his soul into it. Fiery Dragon didn't say anything, just watching him in silence. When he saw Shi Yang's worried complexion, he knitted his brows. What's happened? People of the Ghostmark clan are in my shelter. They aren't so friendly. I have to go back. Shi Yang put the sound stone away, waving his hands and then disappearing. Ghostmark clan, Fiery Dragon was surprised. He hesitated for a while, then assigned his guards. Fiery Flame, Silver Horned, you take our soldiers. We will go there and see. Master, we aren't involved with the Ghostmark clan. We don't need to go there, Silver Horned reminded him. I know it isn't necessary, but that kid is useful to us. I want him to live well. Fiery Dragon snorted. Then, he checked his appearance a little bit. After he felt he looked perfect, he left the limestone cave. Chapter 624, Breaking Rules. Chapter 624, Breaking Rules. Comoros was hovering above the Yang family's area, his face grimaced. Not far beneath him were the two leaders of the Dark Devil clan, Yi Tianmo and Kaba. Their complexions weren't so good as they were looking at him as well in silence. Cao Qiu Dao and Yang Tian Emperor put on a solemn face. Electric currents were moving in their sleeves, and essence chi filled their secret treasures. Their tunics fluttered even though there was no wind. Their aura was gloomy and distant. This was going to be a big tense fight. After Comoros arrived, He asked Yi Tianmo and Kaba to take up the Dark Devil clan and leave with him. However, Yi Tianmo and Kaba had denied. Comoros kept silent the whole time. However, his calm aura gradually surged like the torrential river. It was increasing unceasingly. Among this crowd, Yang Tian Emperor and Cao Qiu Dao had experienced fighting with the peak of spirit realm experts. When Comoros appeared here, they immediately knew the old man had crossed the boundary of the spirit realm, entering the true god realm. That was why Yang Tian Emperor and Cao Qiu Dao didn't dare to take action rashly. They chose to notify Shi Yang first. Although they weren't sure if Shi Yang had a countermeasure, they knew he had many secrets. Perhaps he could overturn this difficult situation. Grand Sage Comoros had never felt so painful as he had today. Their noble members of the Ghostmark clan had never thought of submitting to human clan even if they were about to be extinguished. They had lived and survived, struggling in the hope of being revived one day. Although Yi Tianmo and Kaba's group didn't have the ghost scripture tattoo on their bodies, their unique aura and physique showed that they were from a branch of the Ghostmark clan. The blood flowing in their bodies had started from the same origin. However, their fellows had denied walking on the same path with them, as they were persistent to be with a human kid. This was humiliation, the humiliation of the entire Ghostmark clan. I don't care what you've been through. This time I come and meet you here, I won't let you live this shameful life anymore. Comoros took a deep breath as his face became sinister. I give you 1 day to prepare. At that time, you go with me, or I will destroy all of you shameless people. Then, Comoros tried to press down his discontent, turning around to leave. However, at this moment, Shi Yang suddenly descended in a flash of electric current, appearing 10 zhong away from him. Comoros' eyes shrank while a murderous aura shot out from his eyes. He thundered, "Kid, you dare to come here? When we were at the shady firmament old mound, many of my fellows were killed. Even me. You've attacked us maliciously. Do you want to die?" When they were in the shady firmament old mound, his power hadn't recovered yet, but he had taken risks and attacked Shi Yang. At that time, he hurt his soul. From that day, Comoros remembered Shi Yang. He regretted that he couldn't kill him earlier. If Bao Ao hadn't advised him beforehand, he would have taken action immediately when he saw Shi Yang. Shi Yang gathered his spirit, holding the Sky Destroyer tightly in his hand. The 3 bone thorns he had forged were floating behind him, while a pallid mist of the negative energy meandered around his body unceasingly. They now looked like evil tentacles. Shi Yang's entire body had a strange and evil aura. He didn't know of the conversation between Bao Ao and Comoros. The experience in the shady firmament old mound told him that this grand sage of the Ghostmark clan was the peerless expert at the true god realm. He was strong enough to encounter any leaders of the 7 ancient factions in the divine Great Land. Thus, when Shi Yang arrived, he had prepared to have a bloody fight. "You Ghostmark clan, why don't you stay in the shady firmament old mound? What do you come to the perpetual night forest for? Even if you want to do something, you should keep your eyes on the 7 ancient factions, not us." As Shi Yang found that Comoros didn't want to attack him, he relaxed his nerves a bit. Them. Comoros pointed at Yi Tianmo and Kaba, speaking coldly. "Although they aren't from the main bloodline of my clan, and they don't have the inheritance, they are still of the same origin as us. I come here to take them back with us. As long as you don't interfere, I will erase the grudge we've made at the shady firmament old mound. From now on, I won't trouble you anymore." Young Master Yang, Yi Tianmo and Kaba shouted in unison. Shi Yang frowned, faintly talking to them. "You can decide yourself. We pledge that we will follow you even if we have to die." Yi Tianmo and Kaba expressed themselves at the same time. Shi Yang cracked a smile silently, looking at Comoros. "Have you heard that?" Comoros' face distorted while his eyes sparkled like viper's eyes. He nodded and said, "Then, I will wash the humiliation, which is you." He didn't wait for 1 day as he had said, taking action all of a sudden. The seal in his palm was like a maze of formations. Under an immense, vibrating light, it expanded to a miraculous barrier, slowly falling from the sky. Cold mysterious yin energy moved in the sky, overflowing from everywhere and pouring into the barrier. The barrier then emitted a fluctuation that could break souls, drifting away lives. With some earth-destructive Upanishads, it was expanding silently. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Strange noises echoed in the void, while branches of ancient trees above their heads quietly turned into ashes. Light of the sun, moon, and stars was shining, but it couldn't pierce through the barrier, which made it more perfect. People couldn't see any leaks or cracks. It was the exterminating mark aimed at the souls. The coverage of this barrier wasn't big. It had just barricaded the members of the Dark Devil clan. Under the energy waves of the barrier, members of the Dark Devil clan, including Yi Tianmo and Kaba, couldn't move. Their soul power seemed to be chained. If they urged their power, their head would receive a head-splitting pain. The eyes of Yi Tianmo and Kaba bulged, their faces filled with fear as they felt the temperature of their bodies decreasing. Comoros was the grand sage of the Ghostmark clan who kept the yin-written charm scripture. Of course, he knew which barrier was the best to deal with his own kind. When the old man took action, he used the fierce attack on Yi Tianmo and Kaba, leaving them no way to resist. Yang Tian Emperor and Cao Qiu Dao looked at Shi Yang. Shi Yang nodded quietly. Crack! He shouted all of a sudden as his soul consciousness shook furiously. Light blades that naked eyes couldn't see rocketed to the sky. A space power that could tear every kind of barrier appeared between his two palms. The void above the Dark Devil clan was torn apart, revealing a 5-colored crack. An aura that could swallow every creature or object stormed out from the cracks, as numerous light spots exploded. The barrier Comoros had condensed looked as if it had fallen into a bottomless abyss, disappearing instantly. Right at that moment, Fiery Dragon and Fiery Flame, Silver-Horned had just arrived at the scene. From a far distance, Fiery Dragon discolored, his face bewildered. Master Fiery Dragon, what's that? Fiery Flame gulped, his face disbelieving. Space power, Fiery Dragon confirmed. The so-called Great Space Fission, if nothing unexpected, is because of Shi Yang. All of the alien tribes, well, we should thank him. Fiery Flame and Silver-Horned nodded continually, as they thought that Shi Yang would refine their bodies, so of course, they had to thank him a lot. You. Comoros was astounded, his face twisted. In the shady firmament old mound, you used this technique to dissolve our attack. And, you had even hurt my soul. After Shi Yang had torn space to solve Comoros' attack, he had consumed half of his energy. He was pale, beaming a forced smile. I don't want to fight to the death with you. I just want to live in peace. Don't force me, or else, we will hide in the space crack together. An expert specialized in space power, when he decided to perish together, could be a nightmare of all enemies. In the history of the Grace mainland, there was a warrior cultivating space power. When he got besieged by many other experts, as he knew he couldn't escape, he paid a painful price of burning his soul to rupture the whole space, making many space slits to bury himself and all of his enemies. Warriors who were cultivating space power, if they wanted to die together, could always drag the higher realm opponents to death. Of course, Comoros knew the evil feature of space power. When he was about to launch the second strike, he couldn't help but hesitate. Right at this moment, Fiery Dragon suddenly barged in. He walked to the front of Shi Yang, cleared his throat, and then thundered. You old man of the Ghostmark clan, Shi Yang is my distinguished guest. You shouldn't dream to mess up here. If you dare kill people here, I will make you lose your face. While Fiery Dragon was talking, he had returned to his true form. Fire flared up from his entire body. His horn was polished and shining, as his energy surged vehemently. As his scales moved, light waves rippled out like water. All made him look imposingly overwhelming like a divine beast. Comoros' face got stiff. He dully looked at Fiery Dragon as his face became more grimaced. You have also befriended him? Don't you know that he's human and you are a beast of the monster clan? Of course, I know it. After Fiery Dragon had transformed, his voice was more echoing and rumbling, which could even slam people's eardrums. I don't care about the human clan or the Ghostmark clan. Who can benefit me, that one is Fiery Dragon's friend. Shameless. Comoros was so indignant that he was shivering. Do you still have any moral principles of the monster clan? You are a beast, but you are befriending a human. Do you know what you are doing? Old man, don't babble. I must protect this kid. Fiery Dragon didn't bother with him. I know you have the second sky of True God Realm cultivation base, but you shouldn't think that you can do anything you want here. Mwahahaha. Although I've just reached level 9, I'm not afraid of you. I think you can see my markings, right? Do you know how strong I am now? Fiery Dragon was moving and shaking his body contentedly. Flame light expanded everywhere. He looked a bit narcissistic. Comoros changed his complexion. He gritted his teeth indignantly, glaring at Shiyang. Wait for me. Then, he turned around and disappeared like light grey smoke. Shiyang, I've helped you threaten the strong enemy away. How do you prepare to thank me? Fiery Dragon waved his tail, looking at Shiyang delightedly, talking as if he was showing his merit. You have to join us for that event. We have to go together. And, you have to agree to. Got it, Shiyang sighed. He shook his head as he felt amused. Don't worry. I know my grudge and gratitude are different. You should prepare. We will go there shortly. It seems weird these days. Perhaps the seal is about to break. You should be hurried, urged Fiery Dragon. Shiyang was surprised, as curiosity swelled in his heart. Chapter 625, Mirror Lake. Chapter 625, Mirror Lake. After the great change of heaven and earth's energy, the sun, the moon, and the stars didn't take turns to shine in the sky anymore. More and more strange mysteries were found in this vast continent. Alien tribes came out of nowhere and became the overlord of the whole continent. The previous rulers were chased away, and they could only retract their heads, hiding in the secret domain. Human clan declined while alien tribes thrived. The known rules were broken. Many forbidden places became vital again, nurturing magical changes, making the divine Great Land change further. Ancient civilizations were unsealed, and refuged tribes returned. Many events, which shouldn't have occurred, revealed themselves one after another. When Shiyang listened to Fiery Dragon's description, he wasn't so surprised. Another place in the divine Great Land had exposed its magical mysteries due to the change of heaven and earth. Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame, and Silver Horned took the lead. They were really cautious, as they were afraid they could wake the blood-maned giant ape in his territory. Shiyang took precautions as well. He concealed his aura and calmed down his soul fluctuations, not daring to sense wantonly. Blood-maned giant ape's level was higher than the Fiery Dragon. In the perpetual night forest, he was a truly dangerous character. Among the beasts of the monster clan, his fame was impressive. Usually, no one dared to provoke him. Of course, Shiyang didn't want to fight to death with him. Shiyang wanted Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan to escort him. These two people had a profound cultivation base and various experiences. They would be a big help on this trip. Fiery Dragon didn't want that, but he had to agree begrudgingly. Anyway, Fiery Dragon was a monster. It was hard for him to go with Shiyang already. With Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan accompanying, when other members of the monster clan found that, it would be hard for him to establish good relationships with other beasts in the perpetual night forest. This group of human and monster moved forward. They avoided the beasts which submitted to the blood-maned giant ape and took the way around to reach the target. Half a day later, Fiery Dragon sighed as he took in the faint smell of water. We're almost there. Shiyang was struck, his face smiling. Seems we're lucky. We didn't encounter any henchmen of that blood-maned giant ape. Otherwise, we would be in big trouble. Fiery Dragon shot a strange light from his eyes, looking at Shiyang oddly. Hey! Do you want to meet Bloodmaned, right? Why do you say so? Shiyang was surprised. If he appears, perhaps you can form a good relationship with him. You want to refine his body, just like you did for me, right? Grunted Fiery Dragon. Shiyang was stunned. He smiled broadly. Well, I do have this thought, but it isn't strong. I'm not sure if the blood-maned giant ape could be like you. I don't know if he would agree to cooperate with human or not. Haha, I'm good, recently. As long as you and I cooperate well, I don't think I need to deal with Bloodmained. The message hidden in his words was, if you don't cooperate with me well, I will find Bloodmained and make a deal with him. Fiery Dragon wasn't stupid, and he understood that. He mumbled for a while, then spoke up again, more solemnly. Among the monster clan, there aren't many wise beasts like me. You shouldn't keep that thought in your head. Otherwise, you can't have anything, and you will hurt yourself, too. Of course, I know Master Fiery Dragon's the most practical beast, and you are the best ally. Shi Yang laughed. Fiery Dragon knew Shi Yang actually didn't think what he said. But he ignored it, just laughing as if he had his own ideas. Fiery Flame and Silver Horned were cautious enough not to intervene them. They kept their mouths shut, listening to the two's conversation. Light of anxiety sparkled in their eyes, their bodies hadn't been refined yet, and they hadn't shed their mortal skin either. Of course, they didn't dare to cause grudge against Shi Yang. They just wanted to make the relationship between Shi Yang and Fiery Dragon the best. Over there, Fiery Dragon suddenly became tense, talking in a low tone. Be careful. Although that blood-maned giant ape won't check the place regularly, he does arrange guards. We have to avoid them with our best. Shi Yang and Yang Tian Emperor nodded, indicating that they understood. Everybody continued moving further. All of a sudden, a beast corpse hindered their way. That beast was around 15 meters long. It was a giant snake, whose body was covered in flame pattern. The snake had a triangular head. The corpse laid on the ground, as its body was cut off into several pieces. Blood had dried for a long time. At first glance, Silver Horned couldn't help but hiss maliciously. Flame-patterned viper. It didn't die because of fighting with another beast. Yang Tian Emperor frowned, scrutinizing the flat cut on the snake's body. He affirmed, a sharp weapon had chopped it off. Should be an excellent treasure. The fire-patterned viper is a level 7 beast, as strong as the Sky Realm warrior of Human Clan. As we can see, it was killed so easily. Its opponent was really tremendous, said Fiery Flame faintly. Humans, Fiery Dragon discolored. He suddenly spoke up, someone is here. They are faster than us. That flame viper is the blood-maned giant ape's underling. It guarded this place. It should be the humans who killed the snake. Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan darkened their faces, as a murderous aura expanded. Especially Di Shan, his malicious face distorted as if he were an enraged beast. People could even feel his resentment through his aura. Talking about formidable humans in here, no doubt they were from the 7 ancient factions. These days, the 7 ancient factions had been cruel to the Dark Devil clan and the Winged clan. Many members of the Winged clan were killed. Even Di Shan was hurt severely. Get in, Shi Yang observed everywhere, then said coldly. Everybody continued their trip. Not long after that, they saw more corpses of the beasts. According to Fiery Dragon, these beasts were the blood-maned giant ape's henchmen. From the traces on the bodies, humans had killed them. Their demon crystals had been snatched. Some were skinned, and some had their bones missing. Apparently, someone wanted to collect cultivating materials from their bodies. Besides the Human Clan, who would do that? Raging flame was burning in Fiery Dragon's, Fiery Flame's, and Silver Horned's eyes. They were near to the target, but they were about to reach the limit. As they were all beasts, although Fiery Dragon and Bloodmaned didn't get along well, seeing their clansmen being killed tragically like that, their crystals were taken, along with their skin, their bones, of course, they felt indignant. Shi Yang frowned, but he still kept silent. Eventually, a crystal-clear lake that looked like a big bright mirror appeared in their visions. This lake was around 10 mu. Luxuriant foliage grew densely around the lake. This calm lake looked like a flat mirror with no ripples. From a bird's-eye view, they couldn't see things inside the lake, but only the reflected images. Energy fluctuations were thick here. A faint fog meandered above the lake, and a fresh scent permeated everywhere that could ease people's minds. Shi Yang walked to the lake and then floated aloft to observe. He couldn't see anything in the bottom of the lake, but only his reflected image. This lake was really a mirror with no ripple. Extremely weird. That's a strange barrier. No matter how hard you look, you can't see anything down there. Fiery Dragon flew toward him, explaining, "This lake is strange. I've tried to get in, but I was stopped. I couldn't jump down. Bloodmane has tried, too. Apparently, he didn't succeed. No one knows what stays in the bottom of this lake. Let me try." Yang Tian Emperor smiled as a thought rose in his head. A flying sword sparkled with cold light and stabbed towards the lake. Swoosh! The flying sword flashed, disappearing into the lake. However, it caused no ripple. Yang Tian Emperor discolored in fright. He was astounded. My connection with the flying sword was cut off directly. Items without life can get through the lake and arrive at the bottom, Fiery Dragon mocked. Do you want to try? Okay, Yang Tian Emperor beamed a faint smile. An explosive energy fluctuation expanded from him instantly. His aura surged torrentially as he stormed towards the lake. Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame, and Silver Horned jolted up in fear. Yang Tian Emperor only had the second sky of Spirit Realm cultivation base. However, when he burst out his power, his energy fluctuation weren't different from that of the peak of Spirit Realm warriors. Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame, and Silver Horned were all the hotshots of the monster clan. At first glance, they got to know the dangerous features of Yang Tian Emperor. However, what surprised people more was still to come. Yang Tian Emperor was barging in like a sharp sword, but he was halted when he touched the lake surface. The tranquil lake was pushed inwards a little bit under such a furious impact. The eyes of Shi Yang and Di Shan shrank as they were all astounded. Yang Tian Emperor's energy surged while his abundant aura rippled vehemently, as he was using the secret technique of the Yang family, balling his fist and pounding on the lake like a drilling machine. However, he couldn't break the seal. No use. Fiery Dragon shook his head. You're strong, indeed, much stronger than I thought. But it won't work. Even Bloodmane had tried to break the seal here. At that time, he was at rank 1 level 9. He couldn't break it. So, you could never break it. Yang Tian Emperor was dumbstruck. Then, he quit determinedly. He got back to Shi Yang's location and shook his head. Something's strange, indeed. Shi Yang kept silent. He squinted, releasing his soul consciousness, trying to intrude the lake. His soul consciousness hadn't even reached the lake, yet a tenacious force had swiped it away. Shi Yang couldn't get into the lake. The purgatory true flame is there. The one you know should be there, too. All of a sudden, the ice-cold flame sent him its soul thought. The earth flame can pierce through this seal. That's the supple power of water. You can't forcefully get through. You can only gather the power of the fiery flame to make a passage. Right after the ice-cold flame sent its thought to Shi Yang, his soul consciousness had sensed a faint heat from the lake. Shi Yang tried to sense further, then he could confirm it was the purgatory true flame. Anyway, why was Yi Chang Feng in the lake? He couldn't figure it out. However, he didn't want to dig in further. Shi Yang summoned the earth flame and asked it to attack the supple power of the water. Chapter 626, The Star Original Essence. Chapter 626, The Star Original Essence. The earth flame was like a fire ribbon, burning the water of the lake. It was strange that the water surface Yang Tian Emperor couldn't pierce through seemed to be melted under the scorching heat of the earth flame. Gradually, a fire path was formed in the middle of the tender lake. Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame, and Silver Horned had their eyes brightened. They were excited. Yang Tian Emperor smiled, looking at him with compliments. We can go now. As Shi Yang saw the seal of the lake was cracked, he nodded and then stormed over the fire path. Fiery Dragon's group followed close behind him. The place under the surface looked like a bright mirror. After a dazzlingly bright layer, they met a wet, sluggish area. While Shi Yang hadn't adapted to the light yet, he heard some rumbling noises. When he could see things clear again, Shi Yang found himself in a strange underwater world. He was floating in a deep blue area, and there was a glorious bright space above his head. The world in this lake was multiple times bigger than the lake itself. They didn't see any sea monsters or fishes in this underwater world, only some sparse seaweed and algae. So many stones radiated dazzlingly on the bottom of the lake. Energy fluctuations rippled densely. Top-grade essence crystals. At first glance, Shi Yang couldn't help but shout joyfully. He was overjoyed. Essence crystals were the foundation of the warriors. With essence crystals, warriors didn't need to depend on heaven and earth's spiritual chi to cultivate. The top-grade essence crystal was scarce. Each piece was the essential auxiliary material to refine secret treasures. Normally, the essence crystal was generated in the deep place of the essence crystal mineral lode, as it was the best quintessence. Top-grade essence crystals were everywhere on the bottom of the lake. Shi Yang made a sketchy count, and he found that there were no less than 10,000 pieces, 10,000 essence crystals. Even if the Yang family, which was a super strong force in the endless sea, sold all their cultivating materials, it wasn't worth the number of the essence crystals in this area. That's why Shi Yang didn't think much. He wanted to collect them immediately. Boom, boom, boom. Fierce energy impact came from not far from them. Even the water of the lake couldn't hide these terrifying noises. Shi Yang discolored. He woke up from the joy of the top-grade essence crystals, remembering the reason why he came down here. At this moment, Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame, Silver Horned, Yangtian Emperor, and Di Shan arrived. They stood next to Shi Yang, looking at the essence crystals around the place, taking a deep breath. The earth flame turned into a small flame, sinking into the blood vein ring. So many top-grade essence crystals. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yangtian Emperor couldn't restrain his joy. He laughed. It's fate. It's our fate. Someone got here before us. Fiery Dragon grunted a reminder. Boom, boom, boom. Furious explosions echoed again. Yangtian Emperor and Fiery Dragon became frightened, turning around to look at the direction where the explosion arose. Shi Yang didn't dare to linger. He darted away like a lightning strike. The lake surged. Pieces of top-grade essence crystals were smashed into chips, releasing thick energy. Rays of light interweaved in front of them. They could see two silhouettes fighting furiously. One of them was obviously not human. His body was covered in a bloody manner. Each of his hair was like a steel needle, around 1 meter long. From a distance, he looked like a giant hedgehog. His breath was incomparably savage. Fighting him was a human, a slender man. His black hair were pinned up. He looked no more than 40 years old, handsome and generous. He was holding a gold square stone in his hand, which gave people the imposing manner of a great mountain. Although these two experts were fighting in the water didn't affect them. Each strike they launched could smash the entire mountain, generating an earth-shaking impact. While they were fighting, light shot out, bursting off the top-grade essence crystals. This energy was more dangerous than the most savage fish in the water. It extended vastly to the furthest area of the lake. 3 rays of dark blue light shot out like the 3 sharpest arrows. The explosive force they were carrying was enough to crush the beast's flesh body. It's blood-maned. Fiery Dragon became ruthless. He grunted with a malicious look. This bastard has come here 1 step ahead of us. I wonder who he's fighting with. Chu Bai Qing, Yangtian Emperor knitted his eyebrows, looking at Shi Yang. That man is Chu Bai Qing, the headmaster of the Chu family of the Heaven Temple. He has the first sky of true God realm cultivation base, a dangerous warrior. When we arrived in the perpetual night forest, this man wanted to kill the entire Dark Devil clan, the Winged clan, and he wanted to take that chance to kill the Yang family, too. When Yangtian Emperor was talking, he looked calm. However, the wicked thought in his eyes was hard to be concealed. Di Shan didn't talk, but his eyes showed his resentment as vast as a sea. Shi Yang's face became gloomy. He nodded, I understand. We have some revenge we need to take. Thank you. Di Shan bent his body, his face grateful. Chu Bai Qing had the first sky of true God realm cultivation base, which was considered the leading competence in the whole 7 ancient factions. Shi Yang had only the second sky of spirit realm cultivation base, and he had no expert strong enough to resist Chu Bai Qing accompanying him. Although he knew the other's competence, he didn't hesitate to express that he would take justice for the winged race. His deed made Di Shan understand that he didn't choose the wrong master. Yeah. Shi Yang was stirred up, looking at a big stone in the lake bottom ahead of them. 4 figures appeared behind that big stone. Shi Yang knew 3 of them. They were Li Zhenrong, Yi Changfeng, Ning Du Quan, along with a strange old woman, whose wrinkles crawled like worms on her face. However, that old woman had the 3rd sky of spirit realm cultivation base. When Yi Changfeng saw Shi Yang, he couldn't help but scream. Li Zhenrong gawked with a surprised complexion. He pulled Yi Changfeng, dashing towards Shi Yang. Ning Du Quan was talking with the old woman, so he didn't pay attention. When he found that Li Zhenrong and Yi Changfeng had moved abruptly, he looked up to see. His face changed immediately to be more gloomy and grim. A walnut-sized water drop was levitating above the place where Bloodmaid and Chu Bai Ching were fighting. That drop didn't merge with the water of the lake, but maintained its complete shape, sparkling in a miraculous white halo. It looked magnificent like a star in the sea water. The fluid inside the drop was scarce, but it was murmuring, releasing a magical soul fluctuation. It seemed this drop had its own life. The brutal fight between Bloodmaid and Chu Bai Ching seemed to be because of this magical water drop. While they were battling with each other, they sometimes observed the drop discreetly, as if they were afraid it would disappear into thin air all of a sudden. Shi Yang. Shi Yang. Yi Changfeng called him while dashing towards this area. Li Zhenrong turned his head from time to check the situation of Ning Du Quan and that old woman. He seemed to be afraid that these 2 would attack them. Watch out. We are encountering enemies. Shi Yang let out a light shout, talking to Fiery Dragon, Fiery Flame, and Silver Horned. Those humans over there have some grudges against me. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Even if we don't take action, the others won't let us go easily. Fiery Dragon glared at Ning Du Quan and the old woman. He didn't bother with them. Just 2 spirit realm warriors. No need to worry. If they dare to come, I'll help you solve them. Shi Yang smiled, shaking his head. No need. We have enough power to counter them. However, if that true God realm expert attacks us, I hope you will help us to resist him. That guy. Fiery Dragon shook his head, laughing evilly. No need for me to take action. Bloodmaid will teach him well. He has killed so many of his henchmen, Bloodmaid won't let him go that easy. Shi Yang nodded and calmed down his tense nerves. Li Zhenrong and Yi Changfeng rushed to Shi Yang. What's going on? Shi Yang asked without waiting for them to speak up. Why are you here? What have you found? What is in this area? He asked without keeping his manners. After throwing Li Zhenrong and Yi Changfeng a glance, his eyes gazed at Chu Bai Ching. He advised, release your soul defense. We should be careful in case that man attacks us. After he had finished, both Yangtian Emperor and Li Zhenrong changed their complexions, starting to prepare the defense immediately. Fiery Dragon, Di Shan, Fiery Flame, and Silver Horned didn't move. No matter it was the Demon Clan or the Monster Clan, their soul defense was naturally much outstanding than the Human Clan. Perhaps Shi Yang and Yangtian Emperor couldn't bear the soul attack of the true God Realm warriors, but it couldn't kill Fiery Dragon or Di Shan instantly. Chu Bai Ching invited us to accompany him. Li Zhenrong frowned after he had fished the soul defense. Chang Feng has the Purgatory True Flame. They needed the Heaven Flame to break the seal here. That's why we're here. Why did they come here? Inquired Shi Yang. We didn't know, Li Zhenrong grimaced. But now we know. It's because of the soul-washing divine water. Soul-washing divine water? What is that? Shi Yang was stunned. He pointed at the water drop and asked, that water, drop? Yes. Soul-washing divine water is similar to the life original fluid, which is one of the 3 kinds of divine water. It could wash a contaminated soul to make it crystal clear. This would help accelerate the understanding process of power Upanishads. And, it would prevent the warrior from falling in bedevilment. Li Zhenrong explained and then shouted. Not only he has the soul-washing divine water but also the star original essence. His bright eyes gazed at Shi Yang as he suddenly asked, I heard that you have the star martial spirit. Shi Yang nodded in surprise. Yeah. The star original essence is the best essence part of a star in the sky. If you can absorb the star original essence into your star martial spirit, I think, your martial spirit will have a breakthrough. Li Zhengrong said affirmatively. Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan were petrified. They were both surprised and happy at the same time. How can we take it? Kill Chu Bai Ching first. Yi Chang Feng suddenly intervened, his face malicious. He wanted to kill my teacher and me. If that beast hadn't come, we would have been killed. Chapter 627, If we want to do it, leave no room for maneuver. Chapter 627, If we want to do it, leave no room for maneuver. For people who wouldn't bother keeping rules and codes of ethics, destroying the bridge after crossing the river wasn't a mental barrier. It was just normal. Especially, when the benefit was big enough, everything would become more reasonable. Soul-washing divine water and the star original essence were the rarest treasures in this world. Even the true God Realm warriors might not have a chance to see them, not to mention having them. When such a chance presented in front of them, Chu Bai Ching and Ning Du Quan, the warriors of the Heaven Temple, wouldn't have much hesitation before killing their pathfinders. Poor Li Zhengrong and Yi Chang Feng. As the key to open the seal, the other two hadn't killed them yet, because they needed to deal with the blood-maned giant ape first. Shi Yang now understood why Li Zhengrong had to be cautious watching Ning Du Quan and the old woman behind his back while he was dashing toward him. Turned out he was afraid that Ning Du Quan and the old woman would take risks and kill them first. Kill Chu Bai Ching first. Yi Chang Feng gritted his teeth. Resentment was as deep as the ocean showing on his face. Shi Yang could understand his feeling. However, he didn't answer immediately, just keeping silent. Shi Yang, will you help me or not? As Yi Chang Feng saw him not replying, his face grimaced, his eyes bright and sharp. Li Zhengrong didn't talk much while his face darkened. He had told Shi Yang the magical functions of the soul-washing divine water and the star original essence to trigger him to help him solve this problem. When they were still in the Dead Soul mountain range, Li Zhengrong had treated Shi Yang not too badly. The old man thought that he had to get along well with Shi Yang. Added with the relationship between Shi Yang and Yi Chang Feng, Li Zhengrong thought that Shi Yang would give them a hand. Even if not because of him, with the attractive weight of the star original essence, Shi Yang would never resist. However, Shi Yang kept silent, which made him feel anxious as he couldn't guess what Shi Yang was thinking. At the bottom of the lake, Ning Du Quan and the old woman had their eyes glistered uncertainly. They seemed to be preparing themselves discreetly. I have a deep resentment with Ning Du Quan. Shi Yang's complexion was faint as he was talking neither slow nor fast. Of course, I'm going to help you. I just need to think about which method to use to kill all of them. Once we take action, we will leave no room for anyone to escape. Or else, the aftermath wouldn't be something we can imagine. Chu Bai Ching and Ning Du Quan were the disciples of the Heaven Temple. Although he didn't know the old woman's identity, he assumed she was from the Heaven Temple too. If all the three of them were killed, it was easy to arrange. However, if one of them escaped, it would be hard to tell whether the Heaven Temple would get out of the secret domain and hunt them or not. They needed to consider this problem carefully. Shi Yang wasn't alone anymore. The Yang family, the Shi family, the Cow family, and the Yin-Yang Fairyland were dependent on him, so were the Dark Devil clan and the Winged clan. He couldn't just ignore everything and run away alone. Giving the Heaven Temple a reason to let many warriors get out of the secret domain and attack his side, Shi Yang had to ask himself whether he could resist such a force or not. If he stayed with the Dark Devil clan and the Winged clan and killed Chu Bai Ching's group, Yun Hao of the Radiant God cult would have had no way to help him out. With their current force, they couldn't resist the Heaven Temple face to face. Shi Yang's right, Li Zhengrong sighed quietly, his face solemn. If we want to kill them, we can't make any mistake. If we want to do it, leave no room for maneuver. Does anybody else know that you guys are coming here? Shi Yang was a bit hesitant, asking immediately. No, Li Zhengrong shook his head. Chu Bai Ching wanted to keep this place for himself. Of course, he wouldn't tell anybody else. I'm sure no one else knows about this. Good. Shi Yang finally showed his bloody fangs. He talked to Fiery Dragon resolutely. You have to help me with this. At first, you just need to get rid of the competition with the blood-maned giant ape. You should join us and help us kill them. After we can kill all of them, we will discuss the other business, okay? If you bear any loss, I'll compensate. No problem. Fiery Dragon grinned, rubbing his hands. Although blood-maned and I don't get along well, those bastards killed my fellows. They had taken the bones and skinned them. Of course, I won't just stand and stare. The monster clan has rules. Even if we hate each other, facing this operation, we will unite as one. Then it's easy. Shi Yang smiled, as cold as a sharp blade. A streak of blood rose in his eyes. We will solve Ning Du Quan and that old woman first. Fiery Dragon, you are in charge of that true God realm human expert. Don't let him escape shortly. Chu Bai Ching has the true God realm cultivation base, so he should have his God soul now. I think when he sees the situation getting worse, he will use the God soul to run away. Li Zhangrong was cheered up, but then he remembered this feature. He'd better not to let his God soul leave the body. Or else. I'll show him how stupid he is to let his God soul escape in front of me. Shi Yang grinned evilly and fiendishly. Li Zhangrong's eyes brightened. He asked happily, you have it? Yes, Shi Yang nodded. Don't worry, everybody. If he let his God soul out, it's gonna be the decision he will regret the most for the rest of his sorry life. Yi Changfeng was cheered up, smiling coldly. Yongtian Emperor and Di Shan were eager to try. They started to accumulate their power quietly, preparing to attack at any minute. Previously, Chu Bai Ching's group always wanted to kill the Yang family, the Dark Devil clan, and the Winged clan. Members of the Heaven Temple took a big part in the 7 ancient factions hotshots who had sneaked out of the secret domain to slaughter the Dark Devil clan and the Winged clan. Fiery Dragon, you attack them first. As long as Chu Bai Ching is restrained, we will attack the others. After we kill the other two, we will support you immediately. You must hold Chu Bai Ching down. Okay. Fiery Dragon didn't change his face, giving an order to Fiery Flame and Silver Horned. When I launch my attack, you guys shouldn't stay idle. Help them to kill these two humans. Fiery Flame and Silver Horned nodded heavily. They've killed our fellows savagely. We will take their blood to repay our fellows' blood. You can pretend to attack Bloodmaned first. Then, you seize the chance and attack Chu Bai Ching. If you can deceive Bloodmaned, too, it's the best. Shi Yang suddenly suggested a cunning tactic. Fiery Dragon was surprised. He glared at Shi Yang oddly. You humans are so cunning, indeed. Then, he roared, turning into a scorching shadow and lunging towards Bloodmaned and Chu Bai Ching. Although Bloodmaned and Chu Bai Ching were fighting with each other, they quietly retreated a part of their power to take precaution. They were waiting for the flaming dragon. Bloodmaned and Chu Bai Ching had recognized Fiery Dragon before. While they were battling, they had observed Fiery Dragon discreetly. But they didn't expect Fiery Dragon to jump into their battle. These two were both frightened. Bloodmaned and Fiery Dragon were rivals, so he was afraid that Fiery Dragon would attack him. Chu Bai Ching was more anxious. Fiery Dragon was a member of the monster clan, so of course, he would support his monster fellow. As Fiery Dragon hadn't made any moves, he had relaxed a little bit. However, he still kept an eye on the situation. Bloodman's and Chu Bai Ching's powers were almost the same. No matter what side Fiery Dragon chose to join, the other side would fall into a bad situation, which would overturn the entire balance. They were all afraid of his involvement, so they had to save part of their power just in case. Roo. Bloodmaned released a terrifying roar. Gold light shot out from his eyes as he thundered indignantly. Fiery Dragon, you bastard. You dare attack me. Although we're rivals, if you join humans, the entire monster clan will disdain you. After Fiery Dragon had let out a dragon roar, a bunch of red energy shot out from the soul horn on his head, locking Bloodmaned. That's why the ape got enraged and scolded him. Chu Bai Ching was tense. Hearing Bloodmaned cursing, he was overjoyed. He laughed and then released the pressure from the square stone, striking on Bloodmaned. While he and Bloodmaind were engaging in the battle, he was always in a disadvantaged situation. He wasn't so sure about this fight. However, as he discovered the fiery dragon was the archenemy of the blood-maned giant ape, he had an extreme joy that couldn't be explained. God helps me. The soul-washing divine water, the star original essence, and the materials from the body of the 2 level 9 beast. My breakthrough to the second sky of true God realm finally has a hope. Chu Bai-ching was excited. As he was envisioning the best picture, he felt even his pores were refreshed. He shouted and attempted to join Fiery Dragon to kill Bloodmaind. Fiery Dragon shouted indignantly. The soul horn on his head rippled magical energy waves. While he was in his beast form, each scale on his body was rattling like leaves on an ancient tree. Waves of raging, blazing energy bloomed out from the dragon's body. Bloodmaind screeched and thundered. He panted and avoided Chu Bai-ching temporarily, shifting his target to Fiery Dragon. He had recognized the Fiery Dragon today wasn't like the dragon in the past. The energy rippling from his body was robust and intimidating. The dragon's body that Shi Yang had refined was pushing Bloodmaind, as if he were facing a tremendous enemy. He had to counter the giant dragon with full caution. Although the monster clan had a scale of levels, the beast's competence didn't depend on the level. However, the way the monster clan fought wasn't similar to human. They didn't rely solely on their energy, rather the robust body. During the fighting, the beast's grand body could compensate its shortage of energy. Apparently, Bloodmaind had discovered the strange features of Fiery Dragon. He recognized that Fiery Dragon, the dragon that used to be 1 level lower than him, was now not weaker than him, even a bit. Moreover, Fiery Dragon was a member of the monster clan, but he had broken the rules and joined the human side to attack him. This burned the raging fire in his heart, soaring to the sky. So, at first, he needed to press down Fiery Dragon's imposing pressure. When Fiery Dragon was passing Chu Bai-ching, his long tail, covered in thick scales, suddenly swept through, releasing many scarlet flames as though hundreds of blacksmiths were pounding their iron hammers on the stone table. His long tail directly hit the invisible defensive cage of Chu Bai-ching. Boom! Chu Bai-ching was so surprised he couldn't react on time. The power of his body had been accumulated on the square stone, so the power that remained in the cage was limited. Instantly, his invisible cage broke into countless light dots, scattering everywhere. Chu Bai-ching was blown 1,000 meters away underwater. Blood covered his body. He had never thought that Fiery Dragon would use this method to strike him. In people's thoughts, although the beasts had intellect, they weren't so cunning and wicked. Thus, the big price he had to pay for his wrong calculation was his badly wounded body. Chapter 628. Kill him. Chapter 628. Kill him. In fact, Fiery Dragon didn't have such a concept. Without Shi Yang's wicked tactic, Fiery Dragon could never think about such a treatment for Chu Bai-ching. Chu Bai-ching wasn't wrong when he acted according to the common knowledge of the monster clan. Anyway, he hadn't counted Shi Yang, the one who planned everything behind Fiery Dragon. That was why he got hurt in just a blink. Bloodmaind also fell into a daze. When Bloodmaind was roaring and screeching as he was about to attack the dragon, he suddenly found Fiery Dragon's target had been changed. Chu Bai-ching wanted to cooperate with Fiery Dragon to kill him, but he got hurt while he didn't put up guard towards his partner. This also stunned Bloodmaind. F***ck that. Your daddy here and you come from the same clan. How could I join the foreigner and deal with you? That *shoal has killed so many members of our clan. Well, drawing bones and taking tendons, I have to kill him first. We will talk about our matter later. Fiery Dragon thundered and then crazily stormed towards Chu Bai-ching again. Bloodmaind was astounded, but then, he shouted, "You King Fiery Dragon, I didn't think that you are so mean and shameless, but I like it." The giant ape roared, and then just like Fiery Dragon, his furious attacks changed their directions, dashing towards Chu Bai-ching. His body was radiant in a gold halo, while a power as sharp as a sword tip surged. When Fiery Dragon and Bloodmaind joined hands, it was the announcement of Chu Bai-ching's defeat, especially when he had been hurt severely. Ning Du Quan and the old woman stood behind a big stone watching the fight. They had planned everything, but the wind had changed now. They were all startled in fright. Ning Du Quan and the old woman discolored as they figured out that they were now the targets. They wanted to run away with grimaced countenances. Kill them first. Shi Yang released the war devil, giving it a cold order. He pointed at Ning Du Quan and the old woman. Be careful. Don't let them run away using escape technique. The war devil flew out. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, Li Zhengrong, Fiery Flame, and Silvered Horned flew after the puppet. They shot away like lightning strikes. In just a blink, they had reached Ning Du Quan and the old woman, starting to strike them with deadly attacks. Yi Chang Feng didn't move, watching the scene with a happy face. Shi Yang didn't move either. He narrowed his eyes, moving his soul consciousness quietly. He was urging different kinds of powers to create gravitational field at the bottom of the lake. Then, he used his soul to manipulate it, striking towards Ning Du Quan and the old woman. Flows of soul consciousness added with space power flew and interweaved rapidly inside the gravitational field, affecting space there and creating a distorted, chaotic space. This was the breaking escape technique he had studied for a long time to create. Most of the escape techniques, which could jump 10,000 li away instantly, needed to cross space to do that. If space had an anomaly and became unsteady, when someone used this technique to run away, he or she would receive the space power backlash, which would kill that person tragically. Flows of soul consciousness moved fast in that gravitational field, making the area shake disorderly. Vaguely, they could see some tiny space slits. Ning Du Quan and the old woman were sensitive enough to realize the change of space around them. Eventually, they grimaced with a great insecure feeling. Ning Du Quan, Li Zhengrong roared indignantly. Didn't you want to kill us? You're a shameless B*****. I will show you what's called despair. It was Ning Du Quan's idea to trigger Chu Baiqing to kill them. While Chu Baiqing was fighting with Bloodmaned, Ning Du Quan was watching Li Zhengrong to prevent him from running away. That was why Li Zhengrong hated him to the bones. Hey, Ning old dog, long time no see. Shi Yang laughed oddly from a distance. I couldn't destroy you in the Ice Emperor city, so I'm going to kill you today then. If you dare, use the escape technique. Haha, I really want to see the chaotic space crush you into dust. How magnificent it would be. Ha ha ha. Cool. Yi Chang Feng shouted, laughing refreshingly as he finally vented out his resentment. Little dog, you would never have a decent death. The 7 ancient factions will kill you. I swear on my soul. Ning Du Quan screeched as if his insanity had burst out. He turned to the old woman, move. We will break out with all that we got. Whistle whistle. A block of absolute darkness slowly appeared at the bottom of the lake. A formidable suction force came from that darkness, as if it could swallow everything. But the strange thing was, the water in the lake didn't flow towards that area. However, Ning Du Quan and the old woman were panic-stricken. They felt their souls were entangled with black smoke, feeling restless. That was the power Upanishad of the war devil, corrosive darkness. Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan seized the chance to storm towards them like strong beasts, with a crazy, brutal momentum. Explode, shouted Yang Tian Emperor. His palms cracked open. Blood-red energy gushed out furiously, carrying the power of the blood ghost that Yang Tian Emperor had perceived. This blow could explode the opponent's flesh body into pieces. Di Shan's black wings shivered slightly. Many feathers condensed by pure energy shot out like a shower of arrows, which puzzled people's vision. This attack seemed to freeze even the water current in the lake. Fiery Flame and Silvered Horned stood on the right and left respectively in their beast form to block the exit of the two desperados. If Ning Du Quan's group wanted to flee away from two sides, they would never avoid the crazy bombarding of Fiery Flame and Silvered Horned. The bursting power of a level 8 beast was enough to rip off Ning Du Quan and the old woman on the spot. Li Zhengrong halted. After that, he threw out the rings on his fingers one by one. They flashed, then many treasures flew out, striking towards Ning Du Quan's team. Li Zhengrong was a sacred grade alchemist. He had lived in the Dead Soul mountain range for many years, which gave him the chance to collect countless rare and precious treasures, each of them being a sacred-grade treasure. The fighting tactic that depended on secret treasures was the most dangerous. Light shot out from treasures, flooding the entire area. However, their energy fluctuations were different. The treasures locked the two, while some of them even intruded their souls directly, giving them a deep insecure feeling rising from the bottom of their hearts. War Devil, Di Shan, Yang Tian Emperor, Li Zhengrong, Fiery Flame, and Silvered Horned were equal to the force of 5 experts at the same level as them. Among them, Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan alone were enough to defeat the two. And, the flooding treasures tactic of Li Zhengrong was giving people a big headache, along with the giant body of Fiery Flame and Silvered Horned blocking the way. This battle was determined right before it started. If Shi Yang didn't use his space power to disorder space, the other two would have used the escape technique to run away and vent a chance to survive. However, Shi Yang had cut off their only hope. Puff puff. The fearful noise of cutting flesh and bones arose from Ning Du Quan and the old woman's position. Next, they saw cut limbs flying across the area. Blood splashed everywhere. The thick smell of blood couldn't be hidden in water as it diffused with the water. They couldn't even release their souls. Shi Yang had prepared the soul-gathering pearl already, waiting in silence. However, he saw their souls being crushed instantly, turning into light smoke that naked eyes couldn't see, vanishing in the water of the lake. Swoosh! The soul-gather pearl still flew out, using its best to gather the smoke of their souls, which had been divided into so many different flows, before they vanished. Ning Du Quan and the old woman had both their souls and bodies perished. Everybody was cheered up. They couldn't hold their strange smiles, storming towards Chu Baiqing. Chu Baiqing was struggling hard dispiritedly. He couldn't do anything but retreat. Blood gushed from his body, and his face was as pallid as paper sheets. "Don't let him run away," Shi Yang shouted. He started to gather his soul consciousness power, making the soul sabers strengthened with space power. Those sabers then stabbed towards Chu Baiqing, making the space disordered again. At the same time, the gravitational field, which prevented Ning Du Quan from using escape technique, swiftly changed its position, moving towards Chu Baiqing. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, Li Zhengrong, Fiery Flame, and Silvered Horned released their best strikes to restrain Chu Baiqing as they heard Shi Yang. The War Devil didn't care whether Chu Baiqing would use a trick to kill both of them. The puppet got to the area and urged his power of darkness one more time. Blood-maned and Fiery Dragon stood next to him. These two formidable existences of the monster clan had a body that was even stronger than iron. As they weren't afraid of Chu Baiqing's bursting, they still bombarded the poor man, using their giant bodies to seize more room and narrow his operating space. Shi Yang didn't join the battle. He was using his soul consciousness to distort the space, applying his new cognition of the space energy. Flows of his soul consciousness were moving like invisible blades, cutting the space in the lake. They then saw the streams appear in the bottom of the lake. They were the traces of where his soul consciousness had glided through. Not long afterward, there were hundreds of streams like that next to Chu Baiqing. These streams didn't have any operational rules. They were changing and joining each other constantly, creating the impact that could affect the space here. Shi Yang was filled with joy as he realized that his control of space power was getting more exquisite. The chance when one didn't need to worry about the counterattack of a true God Realm expert, and could use the strongest attack to kill the opponent, came once in a blue moon. Shi Yang seized the chance and quenched his space power, turning his knowledge into a real attack. During the fighting, he understood the movement of space and the traces of space power, which helped him take another step in understanding the mysteries of space power. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Different energies, treasures, lights, and flames exploded, shelling towards Chu Baiqing. Chu Baiqing had to dodge with all of his abilities. However, he got hurt continually, and he couldn't resist any longer. His face distorted evilly. Begrudgingly, his god soul got out of his body. A feeble phantom slowly flew out from his body. Then, it moved swiftly like lightning in order to escape the lake bottom. "I've been waiting for you for so long," Shi Yang grinned fiendishly. A powerful suction force appeared from the soul-gathering pearl, which aimed at the souls especially. At that moment, Chu Baiqing's god soul was like it was coiled by many tentacles. He struggled hard, releasing the screeches of the soul. But he was dragged towards the soul-gathering pearl little by little. He had no means to avoid this force. Yang Tian Emperor and Li Zhangrong were the experts with secret treasures and soul attacks. They took this chance to create more pressure on Chu Baiqing's soul, making it flicker like a dying flame. Swoosh! Finally, Chu Baiqing's god soul couldn't resist anymore. The soul-gathering pearl got it immediately. Shi Yang laughed crazily, snatching the pearl. The soul-gathering pearl returned to his hand. Chu Baiqing's god soul had turned into grey smoke, dispersing gradually. Chapter 629, Everyone Takes a Step Back. Chapter 629, Everyone Takes a Step Back. Underscore. The soul-gathering pearl was the crystal of a soul-swallowing beast, the most eccentric beast in this world. The soul-swallowing beast was good at seizing souls. Of course, its crystal had inherited this ability perfectly. All souls had weaknesses that people could use to take them. Once the soul left the body, it became feeble. The god soul was agile, it could flash and disappear instantly. If it weren't restrained right when it left the body, it was hard to capture and destroy it. The soul-gathering pearl's best feature was that it could release an intense suction force whenever it sensed the aura of the soul. It could act quickly, leaving the souls no chance to escape. This toy was made to aim at souls. When souls didn't detach from the bodies, this toy's effect wasn't significant. It was easy to destroy this bead too. However, when a soul didn't have a body to host it, it would become this bead's prey. Chu Baiqing's god soul was now a cluster of grey air, seized inside the soul-gathering pearl. The wise god soul had turned into something grey and dull. The soul's memories were gradually scattered. To purify a warrior's soul to the degree that the other warrior could absorb it, the soul seal, the memories, every feeling, and events of life should be cleaned. After that, the soul would be crystal clear, and be able to be absorbed. However, a soul that could survive and exist wasn't only because of the soul energy, but also the knowledge, memory, and the traces of life. When these things were washed away, one's life original seal would disappear, which meant both his body and soul had perished. In other words, Chu Baiqing was over, and he could never gather his soul seal again. Holding the soul-gathering pearl in his hand, Shi Yang was contented. He gazed at the pure black pearl for a while, releasing his soul consciousness to sense. Afterward, he retrieved his soul consciousness with a smile. Chu Baiqing was an expert at the true God realm anyway, his soul was the formidable God soul. The soul-gathering pearl needed time to crush and filter his God soul thoroughly. Shi Yang understood this well. Ning Du Quan, Chu Baiqing, and the old woman were killed directly with quick and wicked attacks. Afterward, the lake restored its quiet ambience. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, War Devil, and Li Zhangrong returned, standing next to him. All of them were excited with a smiling face. I didn't expect it to be so easy. Shi Yang, what did you use to capture even the God soul? Li Zhangrong relaxed, as warm smiles filled his fat face. You, kiddo, you aren't ordinary at all. Every time I meet you, I find out that I can't see through you. The beast crystal of the soul-swallowing beast, specialized in dealing with souls, Shi Yang beamed a faint smile. Soul-gathering pearl. Li Zhangrong was frightened. He discolored. The soul-swallowing beast is the most cunning and wicked beast in the world. You have its crystal. Wow, it's what everybody desires. He knew the secrets of the soul-swallowing beast. This beast grew up by devouring souls of creatures. It was really dangerous. I thought you would use the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame. Yi Chang Feng grinned brightly. You do have many tricks. It's cool, mate. Yi Chang Feng had the purgatory true flame. The heaven flames could sense each other. He had a sharp knowledge of Shi Yang's heaven flames, and the features of the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame. When Shi Yang told everybody he had the method to deal with Chu Baiqing's god soul, he wasn't so surprised. Shi Yang just smiled, but he didn't explain. After the battle with the world-extinguishing thunder flame, the 9 Serenity's soul-devouring flame went dormant. Seemed like it was carrying out its living form transformation. As Shi Yang had used his host soul to sense, he realized it wasn't a simple process. Even if he could use the 9 Serenity's soul-devouring flame, he wouldn't use it. After the soul-gathering pearl purified Chu Bai Qing's god soul, it would become a pure soul that he could absorb. Such good benefit shouldn't be wasted by burning it to ashes, right? When he was talking with Li Zhangrong and Yi Changfeng, Fiery Dragon and Bloodmaned were breathing heavily and talking with each other not far from him. After the two had joined hands and killed Chu Bai Qing, they took a short break and then started to provoke each other. Fiery Dragon and Bloodmaned had a grudge because Bloodmaned used to bully the dragon when his level was still low. Bloodmaned wanted to make Fiery Dragon his henchman, but Fiery Dragon had denied him. Bloodmaned thought that this dragon didn't appreciate his favor, so he had given Fiery Dragon a lesson while he was still young. This was carved deep in the Fiery Dragon's memory. He always treated Bloodmaned as his enemy. He always wanted to be stronger, to then find Bloodmaned to take his pride back. Fiery Dragon and Bloodmaned had accelerated from provoking to a bigger rage. Their face reddened, their breathing severe and ominous. They seemed to want to fight. Fiery Dragon was afraid of Bloodmaned, but it was the old story. Since Shi Yang had refined his body, Fiery Dragon could feel his power had skyrocketed. Now, he wasn't afraid of Bloodmane's cultivation base, which was 1 level higher than his. As they were quarreling, he wanted to vent his anger out eventually. Shi Yang looked at the further area as his mind was flickering. He laughed, then flew toward the 2 beasts while shouting, "You guys!" Bloodmaned and Fiery Dragon were about to attack each other. But on hearing his call, they stopped and looked at him bewilderedly. "Shi Yang, I don't need your support in the fight between Bloodmaned and me. Our battle won't require external help." Fiery Dragon was astounded, as he thought that Shi Yang wanted to help him. He shook his head continually and denied resolutely. "I believe Bloodmaned can't hurt me this time." Bloodmaned had gold manair covering his entire body. Each hair of his was like a gold, pointy needle. In this lake bottom, he looked like a small gold mountain with a sharp aura. His eyes filled with fighting will gazed at Shi Yang. He didn't take action immediately but muttered to himself. "This kid is the one who gave the cunning tactic to Fiery Dragon. Such shameless rouge. You humans are all the same. Without Shi Yang's plan, could we kill that true God realm human that fast? You be ****, don't act like you gain nothing from this. Ungrateful." Fiery Dragon was equally foul-mouthed. "You too, don't rush." Shi Yang beamed a faint smile and then nodded with Bloodmaned. "Haven't you found the new change of Fiery Dragon? Do you know how it happened?" Fiery Dragon couldn't help but shout. "Shi Yang, there are so many magical things in this lake bottom. If you two fight now, both of you will lose something." Shi Yang gave a deep look to Fiery Dragon. "Moreover, this is Bloodmane's territory. We can't do things behind his back. Your grudge isn't something you have to risk your lives for. I know you Monster Clan isn't a narrow-minded race. Everyone take a step back, and we all gain benefits from this. Won't we be all happy in the end?" Fiery Dragon kept silent, as though he was considering Shi Yang's words. His body, even after Shi Yang had quenched it already, had only the same strength as Bloodmane's. Killing him was impossible. Otherwise, he wouldn't need to be too cautious along the way here, as he had been trying to avoid Bloodmaned. Today, Bloodmaned was also present underwater, and he couldn't avoid him. If things accelerated, he and Bloodmaned had to experience another bloody fight. Shi Yang's competence wasn't bad, which had been proven when they killed Chu Bai Qing's group. Even if Shi Yang didn't get involved in their battle, he would still feel insecure. Thus, if he wanted to initiate this fight, nothing would be good for him. Bloodmaned was quite excited. He seemed to be curious. "Do you know how that Fiery Dragon's body changed?" He really concerned this matter. "I did that. After my quenching, his flesh body has been improved by 1 level." Shi Yang grinned, looking at Fiery Dragon. "You don't deny that, do you?" Fiery Dragon snorted. Under Bloodmane's scrutinizing look, he nodded begrudgingly. This stinky kid has some good tricks. Without his assistance, I couldn't shed the mortal skin that fast. Bloodmane's eyes brightened, gazing at Shiyang. You told me this. Are you saying that you can help me too? Shiyang nodded resolutely. It's true. As long as you pay me enough and gather materials sufficiently, I can help you refine your flesh body, which would facilitate you to complete the process of shedding mortal skin. How does it sound? Bloodmane almost didn't hesitate. He agreed immediately. I'll follow your idea. Good, Shiyang was happy. First, we need to solve the business in this lake bottom, then we will discuss our long-term business carefully. I'm easy to talk with. Master Bloodmane will understand me gradually. Bloodmane nodded, walked to Fiery Dragon and started to ask him the details. Fiery Dragon, you are Shoal. Why did you want to hide such good things? This is good news to our monster clan. Be *starred. You're so selfish. That human has spoiled you. Fiery Dragon's face grimaced. He grunted and mumbled in his throat, but he didn't react. When he was annoyed, he would answer in 1 or 2 sentences. How to take the soul-washing divine water and the star original essence. Shiyang waved at Li Zhengrong's group and asked directly. You need to use heaven flame to melt the hard shell. Li Zhengrong talked with a serious face. Both the soul-washing divine water and the star original essence have a magical hard shell. It's more tenacious than the supple power of the surface water of this lake. Only heaven flames can melt it bit by bit. That's how we unseal them. I don't see the star original essence anywhere. Shiyang was puzzled. Over there, Yi Changfeng laughed, pointing at an area under the soul-washing divine water. There's an ancient formation. The soul-washing divine water and the star original essence came out from its center. We've dragged the soul-washing divine water, but we haven't touched the star essence yet. Ancient formation? Shiyang's eyes brightened. He didn't wait for Yi Changfeng to talk more, walking towards the place he had just pointed. Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan followed him closely. They were curious, but their yearning was getting bigger. The soul-washing divine water was something they both desired for its magical effects. Shiyang walked to the place, looking up to see. As he got there, he was struck immediately, and couldn't help but shout. Chapter 630, The Creator's Divine Pond. Chapter 630, The Creator's Divine Pond. A complicated ancient formation that was reaching its acme rested at the bottom of the lake. Top-grade essence crystals surrounded that formation, radiating dazzlingly. Waves of energy rippled endlessly. This ancient formation was as big as a basketball court. It was as clear and complex as the lines on a human palm. A crystal spiritual station stood in the center of the formation. Apparently, it imitated a human soul. It was ethereal and not qualitative, ever-changing. Essence crystal pillars that were as big as small mountains stood upright. An immense halo expanded from their tips, which could shake people's souls. Magical light dots were moving on that ancient formation, as though they were the small streams which would never cease to flow. Flows of supernatural fluctuation rippled from the formation and dazzled people. This somehow helped them comprehend the mysteries of heaven and earth. There was a stone standing next to the spiritual station, which was covered with stars. It was more dazzling and magnificent than the most precious gem in the world. At first glance, Shiyang felt dizzy. His star martial spirit was stirred up. The Creator's Divine Pond. This is the Creator's Divine Pond. Shiyang couldn't press down the overjoyed laughter in his heart. His voice trembled, as he was shivering in thrill. Everybody could see his excitement from his countenance. No one knew when they had gathered here automatically. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, Li Zhengrong, and Yi Changfeng had walked to him, looking at his trembling body. However, they didn't know why he suddenly got stirred up. Shiyang took a deep breath to steady his joy. He spoke up with fright. I didn't expect to see this thing. I thought it was just a legend. Turns out that the legend is real. What's going on? Li Zhengrong didn't get the situation. Although he was a sacred-level alchemist with profound knowledge, it was strange to him. Old Li, are you about to break through the true God realm? Shi Yang grinned and pretended to relax. What? Li Zhangrong was surprised. Does the Creator's divine pond relate to me? Why can't I see anything strange here? I can't see the relation. But I know its effects. I think you will get crazy with joy. Shi Yang laughed contentedly. It could help you break through the true God realm without any risks. Do you say the Creator's divine pond interesting? After he finished, not only Li Zhangrong, but also Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan shivered in thrill. They were disbelieving, their eyes as bright as lightning. Really? Is it really that magical? How could it be? How? Li Zhangrong's voice trembled. Obviously, he was so excited he didn't know what to do. He was passionate about refining medicines, but his innate ability in cultivating wasn't really good. Experts at the spirit realm like him had reached the true God realm one by one, but not him. Due to his passion for refining pellets, he couldn't break through earlier. Otherwise, after he had known about the life original fluid in the dark magnetic noxious mist, he wouldn't stay there all the time. All was because of the life original fluid. The life original fluid gave the spirit realm warriors the chance to leap up to the true God realm, but it couldn't guarantee the absolute safety. But today, Shi Yang had told him that the Creator's divine pond could help him reach the true God realm easily. How could he be idle? Master, is it that magical? Di Shan's voice trembled. He was also excited. Little Yang, what's going on? Yang Tian Emperor was the first one waking up from the fright. If it's that miraculous, I think our prosperity has hope now. With Yang Tian Emperor's natural endowment and power, once he reached the true God realm, he wasn't afraid of the peerless experts like Yun Hao. Even the gap was wide, he could cross with only one step. At that time, he could see the whole new world. Especially the true God realm. Only the true God realm experts could become gods. Warriors at such level could have the God soul, and their bodies were equipped with many magical functions. They could have a new understanding of the natural powers. The true God realm and the spirit realm were the two different worlds. When a warrior at his peak of cultivating path couldn't cross that gap, he would just be a fake god forever. Seems like you guys don't know about the Creator's divine pond. Shi Yang grinned, took a deep breath, and then explained. In the legends, there were tremendous existences among the experts in antiquity time. They would contribute their best to their families and sects to build the Creator's divine pond. This Creator's divine pond could help the peak of spirit realm warriors snatch the control of the Creator to enter the true God realm at ease. Everybody's eyes brightened to the acme. As they were listening to Shi Yang, they seemed to forget to breathe. It's really strenuous to build the Creator's divine pond. It requires numerous treasures of the world. The experts with supernatural powers have to make a gateway to connect heaven and earth. They need the soul-washing divine water and the life original fluid, and the supple power of the water in the deep pond to clean the warrior's soul gradually. Then, they need sufficient energy to maintain. Shi Yang listed the strict requirements while his face became more solemn. Even in the antiquity time, only the peerless forces could have the ability to build the Creator's divine pond. Yang Tian Emperor and Li Zhangrong didn't say anything as they were absorbing his words. You guys are so lucky that I have no words to comment. Shi Yang pondered, taking a deep breath and then said affirmatively. This Creator's divine pond is still intact. It's never been damaged. You guys can take the soul-washing divine water not because the formation is damaged, but because it lacks some materials now, which stops the formation temporarily. Life original fluid is the missing material. Besides, it needs the pure soul energy, the blood soul divine water, and the 5 elements crystal marrow. That's why the Creator's divine pond's incomplete. Shi Yang looked at everybody and grinned. If we can gather those materials and pour in the formation, we can continue using this Creator's divine pond. You know how to build the Creator's divine pond? Everybody was curious, and Li Zhangrong couldn't hold it. Shi Yang shook his head. I have the attainment of a whole life of a divine-grade blacksmith. In his blacksmithing experience, he mentioned the Creator's divine pond. However, A divine-grade alchemists like him didn't know how to build the Creator's divine pond. Even if he knew how, he had no strong warriors to assist him. It's impossible to build one. What is the realm of the strong warriors, you said? Di Shan couldn't help but ask. King God Realm. Shi Yang let out the words faintly. As if his words were thunders, Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, Li Zhengrong, and Yi Chang Feng were petrified, their complexions aghast. I am not deceiving you guys, Shi Yang cracked a smile. As far as I know, besides so many treasures of heaven and earth, the blacksmith who knows how to build the formation, to build the Creator's divine pond, it requires warriors at King God Realm to support. Moreover, not only one, it requires 3 at least. 3 King God Realm experts. Li Zhengrong was stunned, as if something had just exploded in his brain, his face struck. Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan didn't reply. They were biting their lips, gazing their scorching eyes at the so-called Creator's divine pond. Yeah, it requires 3 King God Realm experts to create the Creator's divine pond that could snatch the control of nature. It needs so many treasures and years to carve the formation to build that pond. Shi Yang exhaled. He was dizzy, as if he were watching a marvelous scene of the antiquity time, where supernatural experts were joining hands. Many strong warriors were piling up rare materials that they couldn't see in the recent epoch. Under the loud instruction of a formation expert, they put the materials into the formation he had drawn. We, Li Zhengrong said we 3 times, but he didn't know how to continue. I have the life original fluid, the blood soul divine water. We will have the pure soul energy from the soul gathering pearl. The only thing we lack is the 5 elements crystal marrow. Shi Yang pondered and then said, as long as we have enough materials, we can activate this Creator's divine pond. I don't know how to build it, but it won't be a problem to add the required materials to the finished formation. Li Zhengrong seemed to be struck hard. We only need the 5 elements crystal marrow, Shi Yang sighed. If we can find the 5 elements crystal marrow, we can activate the Creator's divine pond. At that time, you and Di Shan can break through directly to the true God realm. And you can condense the God soul. This is a true present from God. I have the 5-element crystal marrow. A voice that sounded like the voice of God came to them from a far distance. Right after that, Bloodmane lunged like a beam of gold light towards Shi Yang. He shouted, Shi Yang, if you help me to refine my body, I'll give you the 5 elements crystal marrow. Deal. Shi Yang shouted without any hesitation. Not only you, I will also help refine all of your level 8 subordinates once. For you and Fiery Dragon, I will help you refine at least a rank 6 sacred grade secret weapon. The price I want is, everything in this Creator's divine pond shall belong to me, including the soul-washing divine water and the star original essence. To you and the monster clan, these things aren't valuable. What do you think? Bloodmane and Fiery Dragon exchanged looks as they were weighing pros and cons. We will collect materials. You have to refine the same weapons for our level 8 subordinates. We just need the sacred grade quality like what your human clan has. Bloodmane kept silent for a while, then started to bargain. Deal. Shi Yang agreed resolutely. However, you have to protect this area for me. Do not disclose any information about it. Absolutely. Fiery Dragon and Bloodmane had their eyes brightened. They agreed immediately. Li Zhengrong, Di Shan, and Yang Tian Emperor were a little bit upset, but when they heard Bloodmane shouting I have 5 elements crystal marrow, they were overjoyed. Even their paws felt refreshed. They couldn't help but laugh idiotically. God helps us. Even God helps us. Shi Yang and Li Zhengrong's group were shouting crazily in their hearts, as they couldn't restrain their joy. Chapter 631, Fire and Ice Secret Domain. Chapter 631, Fire and Ice Secret Domain. The sky was garnet, and the ground underneath this red dome was divided into 2 parts. One was the cracked ground covered in burning flames. Thick lava murmured everywhere, heating up the whole area, making people uncomfortable. The other side was an endless glacier, and people couldn't see where it ended. The whole place was cold and tranquil. No living aura was detected. The world was frozen, and the ground was burning. The section in the middle, where fire and ice met, was a misty place with considerably neutral temperature. It was a desolate, bleak area. No trees, no beasts, no insects. Only flame and cold air permeated here and there. Plain structures made of flame stone and ice rocks were where groups of warriors gathered and discussed. This was the gathering point of the 7 ancient factions, the fire and ice secret domain. Through dozens of thousand years, the martial spirit palace had taken care of this place. After some indefinitely long periods, it would open once. However, since the change of heaven and earth, this secret domain had changed its rule. The passage that led to the outside world wasn't locked anymore. This passage hid layers of dangers. 3 true God Realm experts kept their eyes on this entrance. When they saw the pagans, who were brave enough to break in this place, they would activate all traps in this passage. Unless the intruder was a king god expert, reckless visitors would never return, as both their souls and bodies would perish. The martial spirit palace had guarded the place for so many years. After countless trials, they understood the mysteries of this passage. That's why this place had become the shelter for the 7 ancient factions. Although the alien tribes knew where Human Clan was hiding, they didn't dare to enter as they hadn't understood the place. Inside a meeting hall that was built entirely of ice rock, the temple master of the Heaven Temple, Qin Jiyu Chuan, wore a cold face. His iron-grey eyes gazed at a dyed crystal lamp in his hands. A group of Heaven Temples all had a grim countenance, not daring to even breathe loudly. Cold light flared in their eyes. That crystal lamp was the life soul of a true God Realm warrior, which was linked to his soul. When the crystal lamp extinguished, which meant the true God Realm warrior was dead. Many warriors of the Chu family had a pale face. They were sad, biting their lips and trembling, as they couldn't believe their eyes. Bai Qing's dead. A long time afterward, Qin Jiyu Chuan took a deep breath to steady his emotion, raking his eyes through the others. He let out a low shout. Who can tell me where he had gone? Everybody exchanged looks. No one had the guts to answer him. They were all panic-stricken. You. Qin Jiyu Chuan pointed at a man. You always assisted Bai Qing. Don't you know his whereabouts? That man was a second sky of Sky Realm warrior. He was the Chu family's majordomo. He scooped, bending his head, but didn't dare to answer, just shaking his head helplessly. Bummer. Qin Jiyu Chuan shouted. Suddenly, he released a silver-grey cloud, covering the majordomo's entire body. Please forgive me, the majordomo screeched. His body now was like a block of meat that was squeezed. It distorted horribly. His face reddened, swelling like he was congested. I really don't know. Puff. The majordomo's body burst off like a watermelon. His flesh was drawn into the silver cloud, then grounded into meat pulp. Damn it. You don't even know his whereabouts. Qin Jiyu Chuan shouted coldly. He glared at the other members of the Chu family. Does anyone know of your master's whereabouts? No one dared to answer. They stooped and kept silent. The Heaven Temple consisted of many families. The Chu family was ranked only behind the Qin family. Chu Bai Qing, the headmaster of the Chu family, was at the first sky of True God Realm. He only listened to Qin Jiyu Chuan. Under the current circumstances of the 7 ancient factions, each spirit realm warrior was essential. Let alone Chu Bai Qing, a true God Realm expert. The death of Chu Bai Qing had dragged the overall competence of the Heaven Temple down by 1 level. Of course, Qin Jiyu Chuan would be enraged. Ning Du Quan went missing too. A slender man standing next to Qin Jiyu Chuan spoke while slightly bending his head. He was around 30 years old, but his hair were all white. His face was as still as a vampire. He seemed never to have any emotion showing on his face. Ning Du Quan. Qin Jiyu Chuan's face was colder. Good. Good. We've lost 2 headmasters shortly. No one dared to reply. Qin Jiyu Chuan rose one arm, his face sinister. He seemed to want to slaughter. However, he halted then assigned, send a troop out there and collect intelligence. I want to know what happened to them. Yes, sir. Everybody answered in unison. The entrance of the perpetual night forest. Comoros was waiting for something with a gloomy countenance. After around 1 hour, hundreds of the Ghostmark clan's warriors arrived. The other grand sage of the Ghostmark clan, Cassidy, had come. Besides them, there was a small group of the Dark Spirit clan. These people had the cold, evil aura of the dead. They seemed to have no vitality at all. The leader of the Dark Spirit clan had a pair of deep green, bloodthirsty eyes. Comoros, you wanted to kill that kid named Shiyang? After Cassidy came, he frowned and asked anxiously. Bao Ao. He told us to keep that kid alive, didn't he? I don't care about Bao Ao, Comoros snorted, then said coldly. Wait until we're done with that stuff, we won't be afraid of Bao Ao anymore. The Dark Devil clan that kid's protecting is our humiliation. We have to clean them all. Cassidy kept silent for a while and then asked, You've made up your mind? Comoros nodded heavily. I have to kill him. He hurt me in the shady firmament old mound. This kid has endless potential. If we don't kill him now, we will have no chance in the future. Cassidy no longer persuaded him. He nodded. So, let's kill them. We will kill all who are present. We won't let anyone escape. Bao Ao could never know. I don't care whether he knows or not, Comoros' evil was aroused. This time, I want to take all the souls into the Yin written charm scripture. Wait until the Yin written charm scripture has enough nutrients, we can awake our patriarch. At that time, let's see what Bao Ao could do to us. When Comoros mentioned their patriarch, Cassidy got excited. He nodded and then said, Yeah, as long as our patriarch wakes up, we don't need to worry about anything. Remember what you've agreed with us. The leader of the Dark Spirit clan didn't say anything during their conversation. After the two sages had discussed, he uttered just a faint sentence. Don't worry. What I agreed with you, I'll fulfill it. Comoros glared at him. The other nodded and kept silent again, as if saying something would drain his energy. At the bottom of the lake, a group of people surrounded the Creator's divine pond. They faced up to see the clear lake and the meandering steam with great excitement. The Creator's divine pond used the steam and top-grade essence crystals here as the basis. The star original essence was its generator. Together with the soul-washing divine water, life original fluid, 5 elements crystal marrow, pure soul energy, and so many other auxiliary materials, the pond was built. From a distance, that area didn't look magnificent at all. But when they came closer, they could feel the surging energy instantly. Bloodmane had gone away. He went to bring the 5 elements crystal marrow as they had made a deal. Shiyang's group gathered here, waiting for him. Soul-washing divine water, life original fluid, and 5-element crystal marrow, we almost have them all. However, the pure soul energy I have here is only enough for one person. We need time to complete the filtering process. Shiyang kept silent for a while, then looked at Di Shan and Li Zhangrong. You two, only one of you can enter. Yeah, if nothing unexpected happens, it will be 3 days later. Di Shan didn't answer. He just bent his body, waiting for Shiyang's arrangement. Li Zhangrong was struggling in his heart. Suddenly, he said frankly, let him go first. When we killed Chu Bai Qing, he had contributed more. I've not broken through for dozens of years. I'm not hurried. Everybody knew that his thoughts were different than his words. He wanted to be the first one got in there. And, they knew how much he had contributed. All right, Di Shan, you get in the pond first. It's the first time, so we should see if any problems happen. Shiyang comforted Li Zhangrong with a smile. Of course, Shiyang knew that there would be nothing unexpected happening when they operated the Creator's divine pond. It's 100% guaranteed. Li Zhangrong didn't know that. When he heard Shiyang's words, he calmed down, and even felt a bit lucky. Everything they knew about the Creator's divine pond came from Shiyang himself. Li Zhangrong didn't know anything, so he wasn't sure whether the Creator's divine pond was that magical, or anything unexpected would happen. If Di Shan went there first, he would be completely sure. At first, you guys please watch over me. I want to sense the star original essence. Perhaps I can gain something from it. After Shi Yang could confirm that Li Zhengrong agreed to this arrangement, he contemplated for a while to sense the situation of his body. Shi Yang had absorbed the essence qi of Ning Du Quan and the old woman. At this moment, his acupuncture points were converting it. Shi Yang could feel this process. About Chu Bai Qing. When his body exploded, blood-maned and fiery dragon had swallowed his fragmented body. His essence qi had become the nutrients in those two giant beasts' tummy. However, the essence of Ning Du Quan and the old woman was enough for him to leap up to his next level. If he could understand something from the star original essence, perhaps he could take another step in his growth. The star original essence was the core part of a star in the galaxy, containing the mysteries of stars. Each star had been through million or even billion years of transformation, until it could have the star original essence. The star original essence was like the soul of a star. It recorded every step of the star's ascension. If Shi Yang could comprehend part of these mysteries, he would have new cognition of the star power, which he could use to break through to the third sky of spirit realm. It was totally possible. Would it damage the star original essence? Li Zhengrong rubbed his hands as he were a little bit worried. Shi Yang had told them that the star original essence was the source of energy supplied for the Creator's divine pond. The star energy was divided and then softened to be the best energy pouring into the Creator's divine pond. Once the energy of the star original essence was drained, the Creator's divine pond wouldn't perform its magical effect of snatching the control of nature. Of course, Li Zhengrong had to worry. I don't want to absorb the energy in it. I just want to comprehend the Upanishads and the mysteries. You are worried too much. Shi Yang smiled and comforted him. Then, he ignored the old man, floating to the ancient formation which hadn't been activated due to the shortage of materials. He slowly urged his star martial spirit to attack the star original essence in the core of the formation. Chapter 632, Wicked Genius. Chapter 632, Wicked Genius. A flowing water curtain protected the star original essence in the core of the ancient formation. Just like the soul-washing divine water, it was a fist-sized water drop, which looked really magnificent. Inside the water drop, the star original essence looked like a giant diamond, radiating glorious halo. Sometimes, light dots shot out from it, piercing through the flowing water shell. Starlight shot out around the ancient formation, making the formation glow while emitting a wave of magical energy fluctuations. Shi Yang held his breath and calmed his soul, making his mind clear of thoughts, gazing at that water drop. Gradually, he seemed to form a connection with that water drop, or the star original essence inside the drop to be exact. Star original essence flew out from the ancient formation, trembling in the void and floating towards him. Starlight bloomed out, making Shi Yang comfortable. His heart bounced with vitality. The star martial spirit in his heart turned into countless light dots and expanded. If someone used the soul consciousness to sense his heart at this moment, after zooming in several times, he could see an entire galaxy, which was adorned with innumerous stars. Under the attractive magical force, his star martial spirit came to his front and stopped at his chest. Star dots from everywhere swarmed into his heart. Shi Yang felt his whole body refreshed. The rising negative mood was steadied. At this moment, his acupuncture points were refining the essence qi of Ning Du Quan and the old woman. During this process, the raising negative feeling was unavoidable. In the past, he used to fall into bedevilment at this phase easily. He couldn't hold the desire in his heart, and gradually, he lost his mind. However, everything was smoother than he expected. It was the effect of the star power in the star original essence, which calmed his entire body, and even his thoughts. He was like a baby in his mother's embrace, feeling an indescribable peace. His soul consciousness, and thoughts were like invisible silk threads grabbing the water drop, forming a magnificent connection to gain the fluctuation coming from the inside. Gradually, he seemed to enter the starry night, visiting the star and watching the changes happening on the star. When it had just begun, the star was as big as a grain of sand. Gradually, it had absorbed some kind of energy in the vast galaxy. After so many years of accumulation and dragging the giant meteor passing by, it had been built up slowly. The star had grown little by little. That star still ascended magically like a creature growing. It slowly gained vitality, as it stopped collecting the scattered energy in the starry sky. Something began to change inside the small star. From a little sapling, eventually, it became a giant, towering tree. Shi Yang's soul sank into this miraculous scene. He didn't notice any changes in the outside world, just focusing wholeheartedly. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, and Li Zhangrong were curious. They stood next to him and watched him. They could see the magical star energy fluctuations from him, while star dots were sparkling at his chest continually. After an unknown time, a strong suction force arose at his chest. The never-vanishing stars in the vault of the sky above the lake seemed to be activated instantly. Scattering starlight plunged down from the sky just like billions of fireflies flying toward the lake. Yang Tian Emperor's group was frightened. They couldn't help but look at the surface of the lake above their heads. They then saw so many star dots flying towards the lake. They all sank and gathered at Shi Yang's location. This is, Li Zhangrong stammered in astonishment. Afterward, he mumbled. The wandering star shower. Not many people cultivate the star secret art in the radiant god cult's history. Comprehending the star power in just a flash could lead to the shower of star dots gathering at the warrior. Excellent. Really excellent. He knew the history of the radiant god cult, and this strange phenomenon was mentioned somewhere in their flow of history. It was similar to the brilliant sunlight bathing, which happened when cultivating the flaming sun secret art to the required degree. They all had the same magical effects. This happened when the warrior understood the mysteries of his power, inspiring the change of earth and heaven. Shi Yang would receive a great thing this time, right? Yi Chang Feng shook his head in awe. He beamed a forced smile. This kid's innate endowment always makes people jealous. How could he comprehend the realm that easily? Genius, Li Zhangrong acclaimed. He squinted as he was resentful towards his apprentice for not meet his expectations. If you become like Shi Yang, even if I have to die, I'm willing to do it. Yi Chang Feng could only laugh to cover his embarrassment. He didn't dare to answer. Not good. Li Zhangrong shouted as he suddenly recalled something. He has created a big change. As long as someone knows about the wandering star shower, he will come here to satisfy his curiosity. Especially, many disciples of the radiant god cult in the perpetual night forest. Listening to him, Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan discolored in fright as they realized the seriousness of this situation. Fiery Flame, Fiery Dragon, Silver Horned, and Bloodmaned had left to prepare the materials for their body quenching. Fiery Dragon had come to Bloodmane's territory to exchange the materials to strengthen himself and to explain the details to the giant ape. At this moment, there were only 4 people, including Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, Li Zhangrong, and Yi Chang Feng. If a strong warrior at the true god realm appeared, all of them would have to pay a bloody price. Especially, Shi Yang was now at the critical time to comprehend the power of the star. He shouldn't be disturbed. Otherwise, not only he wouldn't be able to take the star power, he would also have his soul perished. It's tough. Yang Tian Emperor pondered for a while and then made a quick decision. We'll go up there first. No matter who dares to come here, we will kill them all. We won't let anybody leave alive. No one else should know about this. When they were in the endless sea, Yang Tian Emperor was the tyrant overlord of a whole sea. When he killed people, he would never hesitate. He understood that Shi Yang's current situation was unique, and also the importance of the Creator's divine pond. Ultimately, he came to the best solution at this moment. Okay. Di Shan nodded. Chang Feng, you break the seal at the water surface and let us out. Li Zhangrong mused for a while and then nodded. You stay here. Later on, unless you receive the message sent by my soul, you should never go up there. He and Yi Chang Feng could use a secret treasure to engage in soul communication. He was afraid that Yi Chang Feng could engage in bad things, so he had asked some blacksmith to forge this treasure. Teacher, please be careful. If you can endure, just run. Surviving is more important than anything, Yi Changfeng's eyes were reddened. He nodded heavily. I'll protect myself. I won't make you worried. Teacher, take care. The perpetual night forest had many experts of the 7 ancient factions operating. The alien tribes also sent their men here. Clansmen of the Ghostmark clan and the Dark Spirit clan also appeared in the forest. The number of level 9 beasts in was more than the number of one's fingers. Li Zhengrong had only the 3rd sky of Spirit Realm, as his efforts had all been put into refining medicines. So, his cultivation base wasn't worth mentioning. If he encountered a strong expert, it wasn't easy to survive. He couldn't help but worry. Yeah, you have to open your eyes wider and live well. Li Zhengrong took a deep breath. After this calamity, when I've entered the true God realm, I can protect you well, kid. Then, Li Zhengrong was the first one moving towards the lake surface. Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan followed closely behind him. The center of the perpetual night forest. Heaven Temple's warriors got out of the secret domain. While they hadn't done anything yet, they saw the strange phenomenon in the sky in a daze. The white-haired warrior kept silent for a while and then said with bright eyes, "We'll go there and check." He had the peak of Spirit Realm, just a little bit more to reach the true God realm. He was a strong warrior who no one knew where he had been found from. No one knew his profile. But everyone knew he was a dangerous man who possessed a strange energy. He was just a peak of Spirit Realm warrior, but he had fought with Chu Baiqing, the one who had just reached the true God realm. However, he didn't lose that battle. From that day, he became a character who no one dared to underestimate in the Heaven Temple. The master of Heaven Temple favored this man a lot. If the situation this time weren't so bad and the master weren't enraged, he wouldn't have had to get out of the secret domain. Heaven Temple's warriors accompanying him didn't dare to go against his idea, and all nodded. As they had set the target, they moved immediately without any hesitation. They dashed towards the blood-maned giant ape's territory. Almost at the same time, Grand Elders Ji Mu and Yu Ying of the Radiant God Cult were staying in a different area. They were looking at the sky with a puzzled countenance. These two had received the order from Yun Hao. They were finding Shi Yang. Not long after they had gotten out of the secret domain, they found the strange phenomenon in the sky. They were stunned instantly. Some expert of our cult is still in the perpetual night forest. Ji Mu's visage was odd. He was bewildered for a long time. Then he slammed his brows together. A warrior that could inspire such phenomenon, and he still stays somewhere out there. This seems not right to me. Yu Ying kept silent for a while and then said in a faint tone, "Shi Yang's cultivating the star martial spirit. He's in the perpetual night forest." Ji Mu was dumbstruck. He acclaimed and then sighed. What a genius. Yu Ying's eyes were complicated, her face strange. Perhaps our master has predicted something? How could it be? Ji Mu shook his head constantly as though he didn't know whether he should cry or smile. You think our master is that superb? If he could even predict this, he would have snatched Shi Yang from the endless sea earlier. He would never wait for the man to turn himself in, right? Oh, it's true, Yu Ying got it. Anyway, our master has always protected him. Certainly, he has seen the young man's potential. This proves that our master's eyes are sharp and his vision is excellent. Ji Mu contemplated for a while and then said, our master always wanted to protect them before, even if he had to go against the other 6 factions or our own members. I didn't get it before. But now. Yeah, I really admire his wide vision. I told you. Shi Yang will go beyond people's imagination. How could we compare to our master's knowledge? Yu Ying snorted. Ji Mu forced a smile, raising one hand. All right, my bad. I shouldn't have scolded you. I'm sorry. Okay. Forget it. I'm not going to haggle with you. Yu Ying put on a serious countenance and then said faintly, quick. We should go there and check. That kid is really a genius. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.